So we were originally going to open up by talking about what's going on with the recount in Georgia, but Alex Jones has led like a big rally. And then, we were thinking about it, and I'm like, what's getting crazier is the COVID lockdown right now is probably the craziest we've seen in a long time. So much so that I've actually pulled up the Ron Paul, I'll call it an animation.
Yes,
because I don't want to trigger the controversy again. Yeah, but so look, we're still waiting to see what happens with these recounts. The deadline is tonight. Whether or not Trump will pull off some Hail Mary and figure out a way to actually win the presidency, we'll see. In the meantime, we've actually got really crazy stuff going on. So notably in Denmark, if you saw the title, there's actually a mandatory vaccination law. So there's been ongoing protests. They're banging pots and pans. They're screaming. Not really a riot or anything like that. But there are riots across Europe. We're now seeing the lockdowns are hitting every state. New York's locking down. They're shutting down schools. Stores are being stripped clean. And it's like, all right, this one's probably a bit more pressing. We should probably talk about this. So because this is such a very serious and important topic that is life or death, we brought in Ryan Long to hang out with us.
Thank you very much. And before we even get into that, there's some bigger pressing news. Is I have an injury because I was brought by Tim Pool to his skate park, and I requested a skate park, and then that's when he cracked out the Razor scooters and soap shoes, and he says he feels more comfortable in that avenue.
As long as no one knows.
Yeah, people don't know that about Tim Pool, is that it's all Razor scooters and soap shoes. He's grinding the rails with his shoes, and this is what happens. You end up with quite the scenario here.
This dude was jumping around like a little kid, and then he fell down and went, and I was like, oh, jeez.
He had Kid Rock blasting.
How dare you?
My name is Tim! As he Razor scootered down the guardrail.
There's no guardrail down there.
Well, there isn't anymore after my injury.
So, it is kind of a joke that we bring in Ryan to talk about something very serious, but I gotta say, it's probably better that we laugh, considering the world seems to be falling apart, So we'll roll with it. But, Ian's chilling too.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah.
Like,
he doesn't want to rat out Tim.
And we have, of course, we have Ron Paul.
Oh, yeah. No, I was going to say, we have me, but we also have Ron Paul. Way more important.
Ryan, would you call that a GIF or a
happening.
GIF?
Yeah, which is it?
That's a gift to all of us.
Thank
Ron
you.
Paul,
it's a GIF. You guys are
Thank
wrong.
you, Canadians.
That's why I called it an animation.
That's right.
Or it's not really an animation. I don't know what it is.
An animated GIF?
No, what would you? It's like a loop. What would you call the video that's only like
it's
4 frames?
All of the above.
Yeah.
It's happening. So a lot of things have been it's happening lately. You know what I mean? So yes, of course, Lydia is here too.
Yeah, I
we're
am
hanging out with
technically here. Yeah.
But so we have the it's happening with the crazy election. Now we have the it's happening with the COVID lockdown, and in Europe, like it's gone absolutely insane. So before we get started, smash the like button, hit the notification bell. We're live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and let's just talk about what's going on, man. What's going on, Ryan?
Well, I just came back from New York. They just they take comedy down from 12 o'clock to 10 o'clock and all the clubs and everything like that. And they just closed up the schools. So me personally, I'm waiting for a new 11-year-old girl. Maybe if there's a Greta Koveberg that can tell us what to do. Because, we knew what to do about global warming. But then now.
We didn't until she came along.
That's what I mean. They haven't ushered in a new 11-year-old chick that has all the answers
She's
lately.
like 18.
Yeah.
She looks like she's 11.
Joe Biden's 95,000. I'm I'm kind of accustomed to listen to 11-year-olds nowadays.
Right.
I'm conditioned.
It is kind of funny, though, that it's like, where are the regular aged people? Like, we either have little kids or we have really old people.
Yeah, seriously, what's up?
I guess we have, can you name? There's somebody,
Ted
isn't
Cruz.
there?
No, I can't name
Ted
anyone
Cruz.
under the 90.
Yeah,
All right,
Ted
there you go.
Cruz. Yeah.
There you go.
He's okay.
But I mean, on the left for their climate change, it's like Usher, bring out the little girl.
Yeah.
It's always some little kid.
And then they always have a reactionary right wing guy that's I was 12 and I actually like it. I think global warming stinks.
They do though.
He goes the other way. Yeah.
I forgot the kid's name, but there was some right wing kid who came out challenging.
There's always sort of an
what
opposition.
is this
Reactionary.
so crazy? What is anyway?
But yeah, no, the lockdown right now it's crazy. Obviously. As soon as Trump lost, Brooklyn went nuts, and it was lockdowns are over again. It was a rave. So I went there. They had like Burning Man trucks. People were dancing. It was, people were crying. They couldn't be happier, right? And they had people had a bag of Cheetos, and they were putting them on the floor and then stomping them ceremonially. Like
That's
That's an affront to Cheetos, man.
Seriously.
because the Orange Man was dead, and
They're just wasting Cheetos at that point.
it was a branded sponsor. Actually,
Okay, I got it.
You know,
All
they're
right,
very
that makes
industrious.
sense.
over
Cheetos
there in
throwing out
Brooklyn.
bags to people so they can stomp on them.
Jokes aside, though, I do the Cheeto Hour podcast if you want to,
That's
and it's going to be very hard to sell now with Trump. So we're going to need the press. But
on, guys.
dude, so they locked everything down. Here's a perfect. It's so crazy because I'm watching businesses one by one drop, and like real friends of mine, right? And people are still writing articles, being like these, Nazis. Like here, for example, there's this one comedy club that was doing shows, wrote a bunch of articles. They're trying to shut it down. If you actually talk to the guy, he goes, "Dude, I'm a comedy club owner." And I have a family to feed, and we can't give money. Either like I shut down this club, go bankrupt, go on welfare, or I'm going to try to do some shows and try to make some money. So this is where a lot of people are at. And then 3 places closed down, and there's nothing really anyone could do. So people try to make do, and then you get called whatever, like murderers and all this sort of stuff.
Is that people really calling them murderers in New York? Like
Worse,
Yeah.
worse. They're calling them racist.
I know, right?
One worse than murderer.
That would be
that's so
racist,
weird
correct, sir.
that the racist thing really works on people.
Yeah, no. So it's but I mean, people don't know what to do. So and even if they do, they have these like big leases. So they try to make a little bit of money by running a show, and then people shut it down. And that's why now I think like even what you're talking about, they're just saying, you know what, we're tired of like tricking people. Remember for a while they would just tell some like bull crap stuff where they go, oh. I remember all the articles that were like, you actually look sexy in a mask. And then they showed a picture of Tom Hardy.
Right.
And they'd be like, dude in a mask,
yeah.
looking sexy. And you're like,
Yeah.
okay, well, that's Tom Hardy. And that's kind of like what they were doing. And then eventually they're like, hey, we don't even have to lie to them anymore. We could just like
it's
tell
over.
them to stay in their house, and that'll be the end of it.
And then start berating and insulting them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
That is crazy. Like, when this all started, it was like, guys, please, it's 15 days to slow the spread. We've got to work together on this. And now that it's been almost a year, they're like, shut your mouth and get back in your hovel.
Yeah, I'm done. We're done listening. I actually respect the people that are kind of fighting the power. Like, there's this one comedy club. They go, because you can be in synagogues right now, and they just announced, they go, we're actually doing synagogue shows now. It's like, we just want to get out there, and and everyone's like, I see what you guys
That's
are up to.
amazing.
Yeah, but they're targeting.
I know what you're thinking. It'd be hard to get paid, but
Oh my gosh.
no, you do the show.
Oh my gosh. You're the worst.
What? What do you? No, I'm just saying because it's illegal.
It's
What
true.
did,
Yeah.
why did you
I
think
know.
was
Yeah.
saying?
I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking. I'm
Because
sorry.
you're skirting around the law. No, you try to get paid, and you're like, hey, you promised $50, and they say $20. What do you need $10 for?
Oh my gosh.
That's an old joke.
I know, right?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Old joke for an old comedy show.
Oh my goodness.
But they're actually targeting the Jewish community pretty heavily in New York City. There's now a rumor
Yeah, I
that
know.
cops have binoculars and they're like trying to look through windows to see if they can find people practicing a religious Jewish ceremony of some sort so they can come down on them. This is, I'll tell you what the craziest thing to me is.
That you could wear a cop uniform and tell people you're doing that.
Seriously.
That yes.
Oh, these
but-
binoculars? Oh,
I'm a cop.
I'm a pig. Why am I watching you shower? It's COVID reasons. I'm a cop.
So
Us cops, we're the worst.
I know,
Up to
right?
world tricks.
we're actually at a point where the city government is destroying businesses by force, specifically singling out the Jewish community. So this is actually specific. There's hotspots, and Cuomo announces we're going to do this lockdown in these areas, and somebody was like, hey, wait a minute. Those are all Jewish areas, and you're ignoring the hotspots that aren't Jewish. What's up with that?
Yeah.
Shut your mouth. And they just keep doing it. Then they arrested one of the guys who was leading the protests against it. So you quite literally have, this is a very funny phenomenon. The government is ordering people to lock down in the United States, across the country, and it's happening all over Europe. This is empowering massive corporations. So when the mom and pop shop shutters, Amazon gets all the money. So you have this very, let's just call it inadvertent, lucrative merger between corporation and state.
Sure.
Dude, it's the biggest transfer of wealth in our lifetime.
While they're targeting the Jews. What is that? Does this sound like something familiar?
Well, I will
Like-
be clear. To put a tiny wrench in that theory, when they're targeting like the Hasidic Jews in Brooklyn,
Yeah.
they're not. That's not really like historically like the wealthy Jews in New York.
Right.
It's a kind of a
Well, but the issue was when they announced that they were going to be locking down the hot spots it was like they just pointed to the Hasidic Jewish neighborhood and then ignored the hot spots outside of it. So it's like, what are you doing? Like, they went to the park and they chained the park shut in the Jewish neighborhood. Yeah. And a bunch of people, these.
So are you pro or against this?
The lockdown? I'm absolutely against.
Jew targeting.
I'm totally against it. And I'm pointing out how crazy is it that we actually have some kind of faux pseudo-fascism. And I say that because, first of all, the authoritarianism is the total lockdown and stuff is authoritarian. But like the idea that the government is going to lock everything down and it benefits these massive corporations greatly to the point where they consolidate power, it sounds very fascistic. Like, Mussolini said, the merger of the corporation and the state, and then you have the academic definition, which doesn't really apply, but it's fairly fascistic.
Dude, you never have to. It's so much easier to just get people to root for what you already want them to do. Like, literally, right now, all these businesses are shutting down, and who's the number one person that's for it? The public. They're, lock us in our houses. Give me a bedtime.
I get it.
People are demanding, put me in my pantry and give me my ration of donut once a day.
Have you seen the meme where it's like, yay, we defeated fascism. Quick, force, now the enforced lockdowns.
Yeah. So, and these people, I've seen so many people that are friends of mine that they're so pro this, and then they kind of go in the same breath. They don't have a problem with the hypocrisy that like Amazon's getting rich and all these companies are getting rich. It's sort of, but you'll see this so much. Like I just saw, how there used to be like labor parties and now they all just kind of got woke and now they're essentially like elitists that don't even care about any,
managerial parties.
Yeah,
HR
they
departments.
are. They're like elitist liberal parties. They kind of hate the working class for the most part, right?
Oh, totally. Yeah.
So I saw them on the other day. They were making a video and they were posting on like the directing sites and stuff like that. And they're like, hey, we're casting for this video. We're looking for non-union talent and non-union directing. They're making a video about how unions are great.
For real?
Yeah.
Really?
Wow.
And they're casting non-union talent, and it was like not even a speck of problem with these like hypocrisies that they hold in their own opinions.
That's.
And you go, well, why don't you want to hire unions? And you're like, well, because it's too expensive for us. And you're like, but anyways, back to our steelworker video. It's like they don't care.
Having someone go on camera, non-union labor, to read a script about how unions are great.
It's like absolutely insane.
It's remarkable.
Church of Scientology hired me to do a Scientology video about the right to marriage with my girlfriend who I wasn't married to, but that was a weird experience.
That's
it's just fake. It's all fake.
This world is all married Scientologists.
It's made of plastic.
Made $50.
It's all plastic.
$50.
It's funny.
A lot of plastic. That's for sure.
There's a video out of Seattle where a bunch of construction workers are protesting socialists. The socialists showed up to Amazon and they're protesting Amazon, and it's like woke college students, glasses, very typical colored hair. And they're like the working people, and then all of a sudden the construction workers start shouting them down. Like, these people aren't the working class. They're the bourgeoisie wearing a working class mask, trying to convince everybody that they're, for the working class and for actual laborers. And they're literally, this is funny, the wokeness stuff, it's all HR department. So it's quite literally, it is the Democrats have become the political party of HR departments, managerial elites, wealthy bankers. The wokeness, it's because, oh no, we can't have none of that, don't want to get sued.
And students too.
Yeah.
It's like HR departments and students unite.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, and especially once they run out of like actual targets, you find them. Like if you look at some of the stuff that's been going on where they go, how J.K. Rowling's got cut down or whatever, right? Yeah. Like they would agree with her on 99.9% of stuff.
Yep.
And it was like, you don't comply for the extra 1% and that's kind of not enough. Like there was that one.
Hey, you got to burn something, huh?
Well, exactly. But there was a new one with Lizzo, and she basically came out. And I always said Lizzo's a huge inspiration to the fat gross community. But she said recently that she came out. She's a big inspiration in the fat gross community. She said that she said that the fat gross movement was the people weren't fat and gross enough, and she was like, it got taken over by white chicks, and they aren't even fat enough.
Are you talking about body?
This is true.
Are you talking about body positivity?
Yes, this is what she said.
Oh my gosh.
And it was you go, yeah, this is helping anybody. The fat movement isn't fat enough.
That's what's really funny about like the COVID stuff and the lockdown is that there's not going to be a body positivity movement in a year.
No,
because everyone's going to be gaunt and like feed me,
communism.
Right? No businesses, no food, no stimulus. People are going to go hungry. Maybe that's the real conspiracy, because I was reading that there's a conspiracy theory that the global elites are like faking everything because they just want to kill poor people.
This
And
guy
I'm like,
hangs out with Alex Jones one day.
one day, just one day,
Just
and I
one
heard
day.
I heard it from him, and I'm like, the real conspiracy is that they're anti woke and they hate the body positivity movement. So they're like, how do we make Americans
That makes
thin?
sense.
Take away all their
got
money,
it.
take away all their
I
jobs,
got it.
shut down all the restaurants. You can only order things on Amazon. And then all of a sudden, you're going to end up with a whole bunch of really thin people. Actually, I know it's just being silly, but think about what might actually happen in a year. They're saying the COVID lockdown is going to last until Q2 or Q3 of next year. What do you think happens? You think a lot of these, moribundly obese people become just like thin?
Morbidly.
No, I said
Moribundly?
moribundly on
You
purpose.
meant-
They're going to be on
Moribund.
food stamps and buying
Moribundly
Pepsi
obese
Yeah.
means you are literally about to die from obesity.
All right.
They'll become more sedentary, and they'll keep buying crap food with food stamps and just get sickly and fat.
Yeah, but they're not going to have jobs or money, so they're like going to slowly start withering
gonna be
away.
food.
Well, even
Yes.
with COVID sort of taking away people's jobs, it goes one way or the other. Same with the Trump, whether he's gone or whatever he's not gone. It's like with that, when you take that stuff away, people either have to kind of be like, all right, let me actually get my life together now, or they double down on like, okay, well, I don't have a job, I don't have food, I guess I can double down on my activism. Because activism has been in like for the last 4 or 5 years, it's been, this stuff's been an excuse for a lot of people to not have to do anything. Like, I couldn't, write that extra book. I had to yell at the cops. I couldn't. I would love to have taken that school course, but I did something better. I argued on Facebook for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
That, and they go, that must be nice for you to not have to do that, but I had no choice. I had no choice, right?
You don't want it's a perfect excuse for being lazy.
It's
true.
it's a huge excuse, right?
It really is.
Activism used to be kind of hard.
Right. You used to have to actually
You used to
go
get
out and
arrested
do
and charged
things,
with
yeah.
crimes.
Well, even
now the DA's cut you loose, and you're like, back to it.
So easy.
Remember 10 years ago when you'd see some white chick like go to Africa and build a school, and you'd be like, people would kind of like roll their eyes at that.
Yeah.
She did 10 times more.
Seriously. Yeah.
10?
Dude, that person got on a plane and
Did
now
50 times
No.
more.
found. Yeah, go.
No. I don't know how you. It's a multiplier effect because I don't know how you do this. when the far left activism is a net negative, they're not making things; they're destroying things.
But I was saying 10 times the energy put in. But you're
It's
right.
true. Yeah.
It's negative 100.
Well, none of them
times.
do anything. But yeah.
That's true. That's true too.
I mean, but the thing is, you used to have to go. You go to Africa, you'd find a kid, you take your picture. Now you just find some guy in Brooklyn, and you're like, look, this guy isn't even a CEO.
Yeah,
It's the whole thing now. So I think a lot of people are going to have to figure out, what their life looks like post-Trump and, post-COVID. If you're for the, if you're with the government on COVID, you're with the, government corporations on, how people should treat each other. It's like, what is...
I think post-Trump, there's going to be a lot of Trumpism. That's already what they're saying.
Yes.
So I'm seeing like somebody tweeted, Trump's lawsuit's not really arguing fraud or whatever. And then someone responded, they're just trying to keep Trumpism going. And I'm like, Trumpism?
These Trumpists.
Yeah, Trumpists. They actually say trumpets.
Yeah.
Like trumpet.
What do you think? Do you think that like Trumpism is a little bit of
There's no such
a
thing as
religion?
Trumpism.
No.
It's
I'm
not
saying,
a
but
real
like
thing.
you could probably agree that the whole woke thing became a religion for some people.
Oh,
Yeah,
it is
for
a
sure.
religion for sure.
Yeah.
Non-theistic religion, absolutely.
I would say that for some people, Donald Trump is somewhat of a religion.
Yes.
Yeah, but cult of personality. Trump's not. I think a lot of
He
people.
doesn't have as many tenants.
Yeah, I think a lot of the people who support Trump are kind of just regular people who will roll their eyes.
You know what?
The crazy
Kurt-
things he says.
I like Kurt Metzger. He said this because he's like a Jehovah's Witness, and he says the difference between the real religions and the fake religions or not the real religions and the bad religions, is you actually have to do their thing. Like with Christian and Catholic, you kind of don't have to do it, right? With Trump, he's like, you don't really have to do my things, but if you're a part of the woke thing, it's like, no, you kind of have to do the things.
Oh yeah.
So that's the
well,
difference
it's not even
between
that. If you're part of the woke religion, I imagine like if being woke and like showing up to. You know what? Have you ever seen Silent Hill, that movie? It's a video
No.
game, but you ever seen? You've
Only
seen
that part of it a few weeks ago.
I've
So
seen it,
there's a part where she goes down into this shaft, and there's like it's a horror movie, right? And there's a bunch of nurses, and they're like very busty and attractive, but their faces are all bandaged up, and they're like all twisted, and they have knives. And if you make a single noise, they start swinging wildly with the knives.
Isn't it like-
I imagine that what it's like being woke. It's like you're in there with them, and you're like sweating, and you're like, if I say one wrong thing, all of these women are just gonna start swinging
It's true.
knives at me and like slashing throats and just.
100% accurate.
It's exactly what it's like.
It is a little bit like that. You know what? And that kind of like aggression, I know I'm kind of making weird analogies here, but a lot of it is just like city chick stuff.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, a lot of what's happening is you have a group of like chicks or whatever, and they'll be like, telling people what they should want. Like, this is what you should think's hot. This is what you should
Right.
want
Yep.
in a woman.
Yes.
And you go, these are a little bit like hot girl demands. And you have not hot chicks telling them to.
Yeah, what's going on
You
with
go,
that?
it's like a guy that's poor being like, yeah, this is what you should like in a guy. And he's like living on the street and he's
Dude,
never had
this
a
happens-
job and he's smoking weed on your couch. And he's like,
Have you heard of life coaching?
yes.
So many of these life coaches are like not particularly successful people.
Oh, therapists are all depressed.
trying to tell
Yeah.
you what you should be doing. But I think the wokeness is quite literally social pressures from young, like millennial city. Yeah, I don't want to say young because now they're in their 30s. City women, like you said, telling people what they should like, and the guys who think that by agreeing with whatever they say, they'll get laid.
Yeah.
So you've got 68% of millennial women are Democrat. And then millennial men are about, evenly split between Democrat and Republican. I'm fairly confident, a lot of these like male feminists, they think they're going to get laid. Like they think just agreeing with these women. I'm not saying literally every single one, but there's a lot of them. And I say that specifically because there are a lot, the meme reset the clock?
Yeah.
There's a lot of these male feminists who are actually abusers and assault these women. They're entering these spaces pretending to be woke because they're predators looking for,
And then there's some bad ones too.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
there's
yeah.
bad ones too. Yeah, that's true.
yeah, those guys are pretty bad. Oh, there are substantially worse ones.
I kind of, just to interrupt from the last point, it's kind of weird. I was thinking about this when a lot of people say, especially with Gen Z, like Gen Z is more conservative, right? And it's so,
little bit.
yeah, but the truth is like those words just got changed. You go, is it really the Gen Z is more conservative, or is it that they're like, well, I know I'm not that, So I think a lot of these words got changed, and one of the things is more authoritarian. But if you actually look at what's being considered conservative, it's just that they've changed all the lines and all the definitions.
So Gen Z is only a little bit more conservative in some areas, but they're very much on par with with millennials. Gen Z is slightly more conservative in some areas than millennials, but for the most part, it's pretty much the same. But that's serious because every generation has been way more progressive than the last, except for
Yeah.
Gen Z. Gen Z is kind of like sort of
Starting to go
shifted a
back.
little bit in the other direction, and I think it's because the left doesn't have kids and the right does. So I talked about this before that in the early 2000s, they said conservative families are having an average 2.01 kids per family. And liberals are having 1.7. And so add 20 years, you have slightly more conservative Gen Z than you have of liberal.
Well, that accounts for some of it, but there's also like a ton of immigrants and stuff like that. So
That's true.
that would even that
Yep.
out to some degree. But I think it's, what makes someone say whether they're conservative or liberal or not. I think a lot of these, politics is the easy way to look at it. It's kind of like the UFC. Like, with sports, right? If you're like, oh, I'm going to get into sports, like if you're a girl that's like wants to get into something and you want to get into politics, it's so easy. You just pick a team and you go, I'm this, and you don't have
Yeah.
to really do anything, right? So it's an easy thing to like get involved with. Like UFC, if you go into basketball or baseball, you need to know the stats. Whereas like a lot of people can just pick a thing. So everything gets looked at through that lens. But I think more so, especially when you're looking at kids and stuff like that, it's a lot of it is like a masculine versus feminine dynamic masquerading as a left-right dynamic.
Yeah, absolutely. I
Interesting.
mean, sounds like something Jordan Peterson would say.
Really? Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Jordan Peterson is giving Joe Biden a run for his money, and who has the better hair plugs?
Right.
Those
Oh,
guys,
wow.
those guys
We'll
both
take
look
it.
like Mr. Burns, and now they have like afros.
Oh my gosh, we gotta take it.
But yeah, so do you know what I mean? Like, there's so much. All of this stuff where it's like when you look at like freedom, safety, and all of the things that are manifesting themselves as left, right.
Right.
It's all male, female.
Well, that's
stuff.
why it's interesting that 68%, and this is from I think a year or so ago from Pew Research, 68% of millennial women are Democrats, and then men are evenly split. Like I said, probably because some guys are just not really Democrats; they're just
Yeah.
predators, or they're just going after these women.
Or
No,
like
for sure. Though
that
I mean,
weird white knight
simps.
phenomenon. Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
they trust in God, but God is that women taking over, and it's almost like it's vague.
No,
it's
no,
like,
the white-
if I give my power to women, then everything's gonna be all right. It's like
I think you're just talking
kinda
about
religious.
simps. Just like
I would also call them simps.
yeah, they're just guys who are like, I will
White
give you.
knights,
Yeah,
simps,
exactly.
same
I'll give
thing.
you whatever you want, and that'll
Yeah.
work for me. And then
I'm with
whatever.
her. I don't know anything
Yeah.
about her, but she's
But,
better than him.
Well, some people aren't meant to stray from the pack, right? For them, it was, here's what the rules are, and then they'll go, okay, I'll take that. I don't want to be stepping out of line, and this is what they're told to do. So I think a lot of people and there's people in that there's people on all sides that believe what they say. It's not like everyone's that.
Right.
But I think a lot of people that are feeling like alienated from whatever being on a different side, it's because everyone's like, oh, we need to be more safe. And everyone's feeling, this is what men are. And they go, what? And it's just like all this stuff they're being told about what like a man is. I was talking to, like a chick when girls will say, for example, like, men need to be more emotional. And obviously like girls don't really want that. As soon as,
no,
dude, when you start, go cry a bunch in front of your girl, see how much she likes that. you see how quickly she has a new guy.
Nah.
But they go, I was talking about this a bit ago. They go, every guy, like, they need to be more in touch with their feelings. They don't talk with their friends enough about emotions. And you go, no. When I hang out with my friends, I get to not talk about my emotions.
Exactly.
Right.
It's a reprieve.
Because they think about it like themselves. Like, what do I get from my friends? And you go, no. I don't want to go talk to my friends. It's more importantly, I don't want to hear about my five friends' problems.
Right.
Exactly.
This is like when I get to not do that stuff.
Yeah, we're chilling. I don't want. Look,
Yeah.
I deal with my own problems. I go to work. It's frustrating. I stubbed my toe. And then you go hang out with your
Fall
friends.
down the half pipe.
Fall down the half pipe,
for sure.
slice your wrist open. And then when you're hanging out with your friends, it's like not work, not stress.
It's none of that.
Chill out.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't want to, I don't want to give a list of my problems. I don't want, my chick was going, oh, like you and your friends, you like never talk about stuff. I go, that's why we're friends for like so long. Every time I hung out is,
One of Joe Biden's biggest gains demographics is unmarried women.
That's weird.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I heard that Donald Trump made gains with white women, like white married
I just
women.
hear Donald Trump's
Sounds
always
fun.
making
Married.
gains.
That's right, those gains.
What, like eating Big Macs?
that guy-
and gaining
no,
weight?
that guy's just
It's
jacked,
muscles.
dude.
It's true.
Shreddy.
Yeah.
Well, I love how the Trump supporters draw him.
Oh my gosh.
It's like, dude, you can really see the two realities in like a Ben Garrison comic where Trump is like super ripped and smiling and like Nancy Pelosi's head's on like a donkey or something. And then you look at like the Resistance comics and Trump is like hunched over with tiny hands, and it's like both sides are really, really like living in this world. To be fair though, I Trump is not this like pathetic, sad, tiny hands. That's like way over the top.
I think he has two dicks personally.
He's certainly not super ripped, but like the crazy thing to me is that they try and simultaneously have this narrative about Trump being this really awful, nasty guy, but also how he's like really pathetic and whiny and crybaby, and they show babies. And it's like, this is a guy who called Rosie O'Donnell a fat pig on TV. I'm not saying he's a good person. I'm just certainly saying he's not weak. You know what I mean? Yeah, they love to go at it like that.
I mean, that goes back to the, no problem having, two completely differing points of view. It's kind of, we were talking about this earlier, but they were killing Scott Adams because he was saying, when they did the Million March or whatever, people were like, oh, there was no one there.
Right.
And people were like, here's a bunch of pictures. And they're like, look at this guy defending Trump. And it was like, we go, what is your point even? That like, no, they're like, is your point that he doesn't have any followers and people are leaving him and no one likes him? Or is your point that he has tons of followers?
He's a fascist.
And what is even one of those better than the other? I don't know what you're...
What am I getting?
It was just like, someone said something about Trump and it wasn't negative enough the way I interpreted it.
It's not even about, is the statement negative? Does it sound negative?
Yeah.
Dude, that Donald Trump, have you seen how like, how ripped he is? What's up with that? Oh my
Yeah. You're just speaking code.
Jeez. Just say anything about him, but make it sound bad, and they'll be like, that's good, that's okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I saw Donald Trump. It was awful. He was giving children presents at Christmas. What was he thinking?
Yeah. They hear a black chick being like, Donald Trump is stupid. And they're like, I don't know what to think about this. Is that positive or negative?
But yeah, it's quite literally say something and be opposed to him, even if it's wrong. This is the craziest thing, because now what they're doing on Twitter is they're like, in Donald Trump's latest lawsuit, he says there's no fraud. And then all of them are like, oh, Trump's, all everything he said about voter fraud disproven. And I'm just like, oh, this is one lawsuit out of a litany. And this one lawsuit, they're arguing against what they're calling improper votes. And then they're like, what's your point? Why are you defending Donald Trump? And it's like, do you want to just say wrong things? Because if you want to play that game, I'll just be like, Donald Trump threw a puppy off a bridge. Yeah. Can I join in? Is that all I got to do is make something up and just claim it's bad about Trump?
Yeah.
Trump hates cats.
I figured it out. Okay.
Yeah.
I figured it out. Okay. They made Trump so binary that now they have no choice but to be like, he's black or he's white.
Donald Trump is so binary though.
Exactly. I know, right?
That sounds like a woke
He's
insult.
the least non-binary person in the history of the world.
I know, right? Oh my gosh.
It's quite literally is make up anything about Trump and make it seem bad. And it's really funny when people will say something about Trump that doesn't sound bad enough, and then they regret it. Like, like they'll tweet something that is supposed to be negative, but could be interpreted as positive. And then they're like, oops.
Whoopsie.
You can't say anything as long as you just
Like
say,
what? Like, look at Trump drank 12 beers, and people are going to be like, yo, pretty
That's
base,
cool.
Trump.
Yeah.
Trump chugged a 12-pack?
Trump
Yeah,
got
that's
2
awesome.
scoops of ice cream. I'm not sure I'm supposed to feel about that. Is it a bad thing? Yes, it's bad. Okay, now I agree with you.
But you know how much of lies it is? Because, with like, especially with the Hollywood people, I don't know if you saw, but so Chris Pratt basically kind of people were coming up because they've been saying like let's round up the Trump supporters, all this sort of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then Chris Pratt, I guess he like voted Trump or whatever, right? So they made all these articles like people that weren't in Hollywood, and then all these people in Hollywood who have been pounding the drum, doing the Grammy speeches, came out and they go, oh, we know Chris Pratt. He's like a really good guy and this and that. And they go, okay, so your friends are allowed to like Trump?
Yep.
Right.
So what? It's everyone else, like anyone else, if they like
didn't
Trump,
like-
they're in trouble. But your friends are allowed to do it. It's
Yeah.
like, nah, you guys don't care. It's
All the Marvel people came out defending him.
yeah, whereas people are go cancel
he's
your
okay.
parents. And I agree.
Right.
Your friends should be able to like whatever politician they like and you should be friends with. But I go, you can't kind of have it both ways. You can't yell at people and like participate in a
like-
system of telling people they're, should cancel their parents and then at the same time go back and be like, well, except for Tom. Like he's actually
Yeah,
pretty
he's
chill.
cool, man.
Yeah.
He likes Trump. It's
Yeah.
Right.
And know what my favorite one about him is, but they do this all the time. They go, and I'm not like religious or anything, but with him, they go, he participated in a hate group and he's parts of these hate groups. And you look, it's just a church.
Yeah.
Freaking
No,
dork.
but they do
Yeah,
got a
I
hate
know,
group.
right?
Now here's the bigger issue. What? Well, first of all, let me ask you this: do you think Trump's going to find a way to stay in the presidency?
I mean, I think the odds are probably like what we were talking about before. When you look, because people,
Vegas betting odds.
a
have
lot
him
of
at, like,
people will
10%.
say to me, they go 80%, like he's coming back, like you don't even know. And I go, if that's the case, why don't you mortgage your house and bet it? Because you've got the inside scoop and you'll make $1 million.
Right. You obviously know.
Right. So
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's probably close to what those odds are. I mean, it would be very difficult to overturn
10%.
3 things.
I think that's a
Yeah,
good
but
bet.
those are odds based on what people. Those are the odds based on what people think.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
So this,
Those are the only odds we have. But yeah, I
I've
agree,
pulled
yeah.
up. We have
That doesn't mean anything. It just means
we have
that there's
election
10%
betting
people.
odds that have Trump at 10.5% to be the next president,
That's higher than I would have
and
thought.
Predict It has him at 13 cents a share to win the electoral college.
That's a
Winning-
money bet, man.
But winning the electoral college, that's not him becoming the president. Like he could become president a lot of ways. Winning the electoral college means overturning these states and then Trump gaining those votes from Biden.
Oh, so there's less of a chance of that. Than him
Way less of a
becoming
chance.
president.
Yeah, Trump could become president through like
The lights go off and then he comes out and DDTs Joe Biden.
right.
Exactly.
You
Off a
know.
ladder. That's I've seen.
ladder.
I know
I
I've
can
seen
see
that
it.
happen
Yeah, I've
before.
seen
It
it
is
too.
Duel.
possible.
It could be something happens to Joe Biden. Maybe it could be a contingent election where the House delegations pick him. It's not through the electoral college, and they're saying 13 cents a share. So here's what I'm telling people:
Okay.
if you really think they're going to release the Kraken and they've got all this evidence and it's coming and Trump's going to win, it's like you just said it. Mortgage your house, put all that money down.
If
right?
you really believe
I
it.
don't actually think people should do that. Just
Well, that's
FYI.
because deep down you probably think that
They're going
odds
to lose
are
their
gonna
house.
low, yeah.
They're going to lose. So look, I'll tell you this. I remember in 2016 when people were like, bet on Trump. I'm going to bet on Trump. And the odds were around the same thing. I know people who put down $100 because it was a value bet, meaning if I lose $100, whatever, I could win 1,000. But that also, this idea that you're going to lose $100 because you might win 1,000, it means you think you might win. It means you think Trump could do it. If
Yeah.
someone came to you and said, here's a bet, 100% guarantee you lose all your money. But if you do win, which you can't, you'll get $1,000. People are going to be like, no, what do you mean?
Right.
So they actually do think Trump's
But
going to
also,
win.
if you bet $100, like I'll put $100 to $500 down just straight up because it's funny. But you're not gonna. I'm
You're
not
just going
gonna
to drop $500 and be like,
I
"What?"
did on this election. I
Heck
bet.
yeah.
I bet 500 on Trump, and I was like, I didn't think.
Well, you didn't
one
lose
way
it
or the
yet.
other. Right?
You
But
didn't
I
win.
just,
You
I
win
just thought it'd be
$5,000.
funny because I'm like, I knew I was doing all these like election shows that night, and I go, if people are melting down and I just won $1,000, I'm like,
That'd
that's
be
real.
funny.
Yeah, I
What
just knew
if?
it would be hilarious, which almost happened, but then, I was just straight up because I thought it was funny. Like I didn't care either way.
What if, on election night 2016, we had the slow motion breakdown as the states started coming in one by one for Trump's winning. And then the left slowly started losing their mind more and more. It's like that famous Young Turks video where he's like, we can still do it if we get Wisconsin. Then it's like, Wisconsin. Trump goes, God damn. It's like, what if we're seeing that, but like times 100? where, and I do not think the odds of this happening are 10%. I think it's like 0.001%, like really slim. But could you imagine what it would be like if they're all dancing in the street and stomping on Cheetos bags and they're celebrate good, pulling off their masks and chugging champagne and handing it to each other, and then a week later, one of the states is refusing to certify.
The sky just turns orange.
The sky, but like, I'm imagining, so we're still about a month out from the Electoral College certification. A lot can happen. So what happens like next week? There's some suit, and then it's like Philadelphia flips, from some, Giuliani's suit wins, and then the left goes, okay, well, I mean, Joe Biden still won. we're celebrate good times, and then a week and a half later, and then it's like Arizona, and then Trump somehow pulls it off, and it's this month long. It was one day in 2016. It's a 1 month long, slow, drawn out process of Trump flipping things and winning.
I think a lot of these people would be honestly happy about it.
Totally.
There's a whole industry, built around this stuff. When I was, even the day that he won, like, that a lot of people in these like activist organizations were like that night looking at their baton and having like a will I won't I moment. You know what I mean? It's just like one
Jeff
day,
Zucker.
like it's still, there's, Trump might win. So you say, and there's a chance. They got the Molotov cocktails. They can't bring themselves to throw out the Molotov cocktail because it just might happen.
Jeff Zucker's over at CNN and he goes, what have I done? He's going to lose all his money.
Well,
they're going to sell CNN. There's rumors that AT&T.
I heard they're going to do it to Teletoon. That's what I heard.
Really?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, no, that's what I
that?
heard. I definitely heard that. A Canadian art cartoon network.
Totally heard
okay.
that. Yeah.
People are saying Trump might buy it, but I think that's just wishful thinking. Could you imagine how hilarious it would be if Trump buys CNN?
They'd block that sale, no?
Yeah, they wouldn't let it happen. But listen. If AT&T's like 150
spite
billion
sale.
Yeah, well, no, they're in the hole. AT&T doesn't care about this stuff. These massive corporations are like, dude, give me money. They're not. I'm sure deep down they're like, I don't care. And then Trump bought CNN.
I hope Breitbart rises the capital to buy CNN.
Right.
But no. Here's the problem. CNN is worth nothing now. That's
True.
why they need to sell it. CNN was going down the tubes a long time ago, and then Trump showed up, and they started blasting Trump rallies on TV nonstop, and it helped him get elected. But they were making money off of it. Their ratings were going up by showing Trump. That's what the people wanted. They wanted the orange man.
Hey, dude,
And then-
I've been agreeing with you on that. We've been talking about this for a while, but I'm like, dude, when Trump got voted out of office, a lot of people's entire comedy career just got voted out of office.
Yep.
It's
Well,
crazy.
so you did a bit. You had that sketch where it's like a newsroom on election night.
Yeah.
And they all cheer like, yeah, Biden, Harris. And then it's like a month later and they're all sweating and like, what do we write about? There's nothing to write about. It's over.
So, and I was watching, I went to like Union Square the day after. So they had their big party in Brooklyn and everyone was happy. Yeah, I went. It was pretty fun. And
Did you get to stomp on Cheetos? Did you partake?
I got to stomp it. No, I was with like a bunch of friends and we kept like doing jokes to each other. Like I would yell, me and Danny were like, kind of weird you being here after voting for Trump, no? And we would just say that loudly in front of other Brooklyn people. I kept saying, I kept trying to start a lock her up chant and then blame it on Danny.
Oh my gosh.
Were you actually yelling?
Yeah, dude.
Nobody would join in?
No, obviously not. But I was also like, I'd run out of the way and pretend I was just kidding around. But so the next day, after everyone, had their fun, I was just filming in Union Square the next day. And this is where they protest. They've been doing a protest against Trump every Saturday for the last 8 months, a impeachment, like get him out of the office, right? So I go and like mess with them a lot of times. But the day after he won, they were all still there and they were like, this is just the beginning. Joe Biden is still complicit in Islamophobia, transphobia, white supremacy. Like they didn't even take the day off.
They didn't even
take one day off.
It's not going to work.
So they were right back in it, but you could tell the enthusiasm. Everyone walking by was like, "All right, dude, like it's over." Like,
they need Trump.
Yeah,
the media companies need him. There is going to be right now. They're probably all sitting down doing some kind of like prayer circle, saying like, "Let Trump win," and then they're like, "No one can know we want Trump to win, but if he doesn't win, we're all going to lose our jobs."
There's been some flailing articles,
Oh, dude, we got one.
Hail Marys.
We do have one.
Just 3-pointers from the
it's amazing.
From the other 3-point line, turned around backwards.
Check it out.
Truly amazing.
If you want to talk about scraping the bottom of the barrel so hard, they're pulling out wood chips. I give you the Daily Mail. Ivanka Trump, quote, blamed a fart on her classmate when she was a bratty teenager. news.
To be fair, she did do that to me, and I needed to write that article to get something off my chest.
Ryan, it's all your fault.
This is not an exaggeration. They actually wrote an article about Ivanka Trump 23 years ago or something, farting, and then saying it was you. Like, that's the news?
Okay, it is the Daily Mail. Okay, we got to give them a little benefit of the doubt because it is the Daily Mail.
It's
and
not
they do
just
gossip.
the Daily Mail.
Who is
it's
it?
a bunch of other outlets who
Oh
all
my
wrote the
gosh,
same
Dude,
thing.
the New York Times
We've
wrote an
got-
article yesterday. I'm not even kidding.
It was actually not the Daily Mail that initially wrote this story. Okay, we got it from yesterday, Daily News. Former Ivanka Trump BFF remembers
my
a fart
gosh.
blaming elitist with a creepy dad.
New York Times wrote an article that said in college Trump took an upper decker.
Oh my
No way.
gosh, are you serious? Oh my gosh. Oh, Ryan.
Do people know what an upper decker is?
Trump
don't
took an
wanna
upper
know.
decker in the girls' bathroom. And it was a school he didn't even go to.
I knew it. Wow, that's
Dude,
amazing.
Daily
you know
News.
what
No,
upper decker
what is it?
It's
Oh,
when,
no.
when you take the top off the toilet, the lid off the toilet, and then
And you sit on top of it so that when they flush, it
I got it.
upper decker.
Ian's like, I got
We called it
stop.
top shelf in it.
right.
You know, back in Chicago, that was like top shelf, like liquor. You know what I mean? Like hooking up.
Yeah, top shelf's
I
pretty
feel
good.
like I'm gonna vomit.
Well, this is what college age people do for some
It's
reason.
true.
I was just joking.
So
What's the-
anyway.
what's the thing when you Ivanka Trump Dutch oven someone?
Oh my gosh.
No, it should be
This is a preview of what's to come.
Baron Trump when he was
gosh.
3 years
So
old.
check it
Dutch
out.
oven
This
Joe
is-
Biden's wife.
We are in the golden period right now. Probably, you should all, if you like excitement, you should be cherishing every moment of this period now until January 20th. I don't know what's going to happen after January 20th. Maybe it's Trump, maybe it's not. If it's not Trump, I don't think it's all going to go back to normal, like what normal is supposed to be. Things have been crazy since before 2016, and they're getting crazier and crazier. So I imagine they'll be getting a bit crazy. But right now, Donald Trump, according to the mainstream media, is out. So what do they write about? It's it. You did it, guys. What's the protest?
I'll tell you some articles.
So they have no choice. They still have to write about Trump because it's that golden goose, but they're strangling the goose, shaking it as hard as possible to get an egg out.
Straining.
And like little golden dingleberries are falling out. And they're getting the story like Ivanka Trump farting. And this is where they have to write about Trump somehow. And the only thing they could find is this.
Well,
After Trump is gone, they're going to be writing stories about Trump. And it's going to be like even worse.
Yeah, it's gonna be darker.
yeah. So
It's I don't know.
Trump didn't lock himself in the White House, but he almost did.
he almost did. He thought
You know
about
what they're
it.
going to do? They're going to be like, it's now been 1 month since Donald Trump has left the White House. Here's what things would be like if he didn't.
Yeah,
No
for
joke.
sure.
I bet you they'll write that article.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, that's what I predicted. I was saying in the new articles like Kamala Harris looked nice, stuff like that.
Yeah. It's
Reminds
so
me of
boring.
the Family Guy joke where the news is like, plane crashed into a school. Like, here's what it would have been like if the plane didn't crash into a school, but here's what it would have looked like if it did. And then they show it anyway
Right.
because like they need something to talk
So,
about.
do you remember when Caitlin Collins was like, Trump has been silent for 3 days? And I was like, is this news? I'm sorry, I missed it.
Yeah.
What the heck? What the heck's going on? Like,
They're
it's silent. They're
obsessed.
freaking out
He
about
didn't say
it. Like,
something.
what?
He's
so
He didn't say
obsessed.
anything.
Well, I've even noticed a difference in like when I would make because the problem is like, these places had a boogeyman. And a lot of them were willing to be unprofitable. I mean, these ones we're talking about that revived them. But there were
Right.
some places, corporations that were still willing to like take the hit and almost go unprofitable.
Go broke.
And it's a little harder to do that without the boogeyman. I've even noticed with my videos, if people would before, like originally when you laugh at something, you'd be like, is this funny? Where now you go, is it on the right side? Okay, now I can decide whether to laugh
I
or
don't
not.
do that. I laugh.
I don't think that most people did that, but a lot of people
It's
do.
sad.
I've got a picture downstairs of Donald Trump, and he's like a little tiny person,
Nude.
and he's like he's got his hands behind his back. It's from George Alexopoulos and the Secret
Erect
Service.
penis signed.
They're like no, it's a comic, and they're like, Mr. Trump, are you ready to win tonight's debate? And then they lift him up, and he's really small, and they put him into a mech suit. And like steam comes out, and then he straightens his tie, and then he goes bigly. Like you can make fun of Trump if you're actually making fun of him. Like drawing a fat, sad Trump with tiny hands is not a joke. It's
Right.
like it's just a tribal signal. It's like, hey, I'm like you. Look, the thing. You make an actual funny joke about Trump, they love it. There's like Trump makes fun of himself, And even Trump supporters love it when he's self-deprecating because he owns it. You know what I mean? On the left, it's, am I on the right side? Is the joke allowed?
Well, there's two parts of it. Like for the first part, like I said, I've noticed that people have lost that a little bit. They'll just laugh first because they're like, it's a little because they feel like they won. No, but some people that feel like they've won now that Trump's gone, I'm noticing them sort of being like, oh, I can just laugh. I can laugh again. Like they almost feel like that. But the second part, the difference between like the right and the left humor is when you talk about, things that were, crazy jokes that when they talk about like even censorship, like crazy jokes on the right, crazy jokes on the left, things that you're like not okay with. The difference is when you're talking about the right, it's like a guy yelling it on BitChute for like 40 people to hear. When it's on the left, it's like, this is
Netflix special.
Yeah, or like, Dove soap or whatever, right? So I think that's why one's a little more aggressive.
Institutional power versus some random guy. And you know what I think too? It's what we're seeing with Trump. I think Trump sort of jumped in front of everybody to like as the bolt was being fired in a figurative sense, because the media has been going after small random internet people for a really, really long time. So it's like some random guy on BitChute will be like, here's my rant. And they're going to be like, BitChute is hosting extremists. They should be shut down. And it's like, dude, the guy's got like 40 views. Leave him alone.
Where else is he going to go? Yeah.
But then they use institutional power. And it's basically like they made a demand. Hey, this is racist. And then everyone said, okay, you got it. Well, that's racist too. You got it. And they just keep going. And it's like they're just literally hammering whatever they can find, any tiny smidgen of offense. So they're chasing it to the darkest corners of the web and then screaming about it at the top of their lungs.
Yeah, which is how you get rid of racism, actually.
Yeah, that's how you do it.
That's
yeah.
exactly generally. It's like,
I mean, honestly,
like
they
when you
think
put
that.
the bad kids all in one class, that usually sorts it out.
Sorts it right out.
They probably think that. That they're chasing it down and destroying it, and it's like
they just don't want to hear it. It's like they think a lot of these people feel like it was war, right? And if you think about that, and you're like at war, and imagine I'm there like trying to make jokes about our general, like we're about to go kill these people, and I'm like, general's looking a little sleepy today, right? And everyone's like, dude, we're about to go like try to kill these people, like not the time. And I'm like, yeah, but like check it out, like bad pants, and no one wants to hear any jokes, right?
Right.
But if I was to be like, look at their general, like I can barely speak, everyone would be like, ah.
You just described what Michael Malice was explaining the other day on the show about the Soviet Union.
Wow.
Where he said that, some American was explaining you could go into the Oval Office, pound on Reagan's desk and say, I think Reagan is doing a terrible job. And then the Soviet guy was like, oh, you can do the same thing in the Soviet Union. You go to the Red Square, you hang on the table. I think Ronald Reagan is doing a terrible job.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's is it kind of weird that we're comparing the Soviet Union to these people or these people to the Soviet Union?
No, yeah.
It's not weird at all. It's scary.
It all and it all boils down to kind of the, what you think the purpose of comedy or what, but they wanted to collect all these properties, right? It's like, we need to collect music. And I think music's a little easier of a sell. Because if you're a singer and they go, okay, you can't sing about this, and you go, whatever. The lyrics are one part of it, but really it's like my songs are still the same, and I can kind of be the same.
With the ba and bop.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they'll figure it out.
Uh-huh.
Do you know what I mean? So, but with comedy, unfortunately, like you're speaking, so I think comedy gave itself up a little harder, so they had a harder time collecting that property where they collected the universities, they collected music, they collected advertising, and I think comedy was a little harder for them to scoop up, which is why it became such a contentious issue.
Comedy is one of the most powerful tools in opposing authoritarianism. That's why they hate it, and it's so hard for them to conquer. If they want their lockdown or whatever, comedy is making fun of things all the time, and it depowers a lot of the stuff.
Right.
It takes power away. It ridicules it, makes it seem weaker in a sense. That's why making fun of things works. So they need that. If you have a top-down authoritarian culture, what's the one thing everyone can get if you tell a joke? So like you're in the Soviet Union and everyone has a problem with hot water, and you make a joke about hot water because it's relatable to everybody and they all laugh. They get mad at you because they're like, you're criticizing us and the authority and the system. They're not. I don't see how they're going to be able to get through, like this wokeness. I don't see how it gets past the Constitution.
Well, it doesn't. But the demands on certain levels of speech are too debilitating. Like I said, like there's certain things you go, hey, if you're going to run a company, you run ads, you got to say this, and they go, okay, whatever. It doesn't really change us fundamentally. We're selling T-shirts or whatever. But if you say this about comedy, which is essentially noticing trends or, noticing sociological, let's say I notice that one group does this and one group does this, and they go, yeah, but you're not allowed to do that anymore. So it's like the demands on, speech oriented fields, like what you do of talking 4 hours a day or whatever, like all these demands are like debilitating to what you're doing. So that's why it's like harder for them to collect those, which is why those are always the linchpins that they try to take care of, right? Whenever like authoritarianism comes down, it's like always first we want to get rid of like jokes about the wrong things, and we want to get rid of observations about the wrong things.
Yep. And they're trying. But I don't know if it. I don't know if it can work. So
you want to make it illegal to notice things.
No, but for real, because you can do comedy without even like you can deliver a comedy without acting or doing a bit in a sense. When you think about a joke, it's like someone is telling you a joke. They are. You can literally make people laugh by just talking about normal things, and so you can have an idea. So then they need to control the ideas themselves, and that's probably a part of what cancel culture is. It's like psychological terrorism. We'll destroy your life if you step on the wrong twig. That's why I was saying it's like the Silent Hill nurses. Like, as soon as you make a noise, they just go wild and start swinging like crazy. Who would want to be in with these people? Why would you want to be in these universities? It's like you're walking down the hallway and then you're like sweating and you're looking around and then you step on a twig and you go, oh geez, and then they all go, ah, and they like jump out of the walls and they're like latching on you like, ah, and I would just leave. I'll leave. I don't want to be there. I'll just, or I'll purposely throw the twig, throw rocks into the room so they all go.
You hit the nail on the head. Like when you make the equations of how these operate, there is like an equation that involves how not okay it is to say, right? Yeah. So that's a lot of times, if you go, this is the thing you can't say, you just made it like super funny, right? So right. It's like they're also involved in the equation. It's kind of like that idea of like
the fat gross thing joke you just made.
It's like the fat gross joke.
Yeah. Is that
all of your moms?
Lizzo, you said, is a. What do you say? She was a huge inspiration.
The fat
and gross
beautiful
movement.
queen.
Yes.
See, you wouldn't normally say that until they've made it about.
No, it wouldn't be funny. Yeah.
Right now, it's only funny because it's like pointing
naughty.
Out.
I mean, for lack of a better word. Yeah.
Naughty.
I mean, that makes it like
it's
adorable.
Transgressive. Yeah.
Yeah, transgressive.
Yeah.
Offensive.
That's the word.
Well, I mean, listen, if you were in, let's say, Saudi Arabia, and they go, the one guy you can't talk about is this. Like if you were 10 years old and you're like, that guy's you make a little joke about that guy. That's the funniest person to make a joke about.
Well, yeah, of course.
How is Family Guy still on the air?
Because
I know that they've changed it. They announced like a couple of years ago they wouldn't do gay jokes anymore. So they've certainly changed it.
They're not going to do jokes that are gay or
both. Both.
We have a system in the writing room. If anyone says, "Oh, that's gay," then we don't do it. We're on the.
But that's it. Yeah.
No gay stuff.
But dude, you watch the old episodes, and I'm like, there was a joke. We were just watching a rerun, and Peter said something about they do the callback jokes. And he was like, that was like the time that I was helping the band Huey Lewis and the Jews. And then the guy, the song, we don't need money. And then the band members go, we quit, and they walk out. Like that joke is like by today's standards. Could you tell that joke?
So
like that's cancelable, but it's on TV every day on numerous channels.
Well, I think, people always just make their changes. Like a lot of people, kind of the same way that people are moving to different places right now with the COVID. People are making their changes. And if you look around, people like you have started their own thing and everyone's kind of been making moves based on, what they say you can and what you can't do. But I do all those jokes in comedy clubs. I do,
yeah.
I say aggressive stuff, but there's that rung where YouTube's going to be like, you're done.
I guess the issue is the mob going to notice you? Because what'll happen is these clubs are probably going to be like, hey man, look, I don't think there's anything wrong with your jokes. I just can't afford it if they come and start throwing stuff. You know what I mean?
It is.
And what do you do? What do you like? So you've performed at a bunch of clubs, yeah?
Yeah.
And the managers or the owners?
Yeah.
You're like cool with them? What if one of them came to you and said, dude, I don't want to cancel you, but like our phone's ringing off the hook. They're threatening our patrons. Like, we can't have this, man. What do we do?
I think a lot of comedy club owners will stand up for that.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's what that happened to like Ari Shaffir, and they called like 150 people called when he did like the Kobe joke, and people went crazy. And the people at the stand were like, they're like, they'd just forward him. They'd be like, "This is hilarious." I mean,
play him on the show.
But what are you gonna do? It's a comedy club. Like it's just press. But it's not that. It's like they'll take your TV shows away. They'll take all that stuff. But if you're in the comedy club, is like the one place it's hard for them to take, except for like a very few things.
Yeah, this is the bigger issue. I think is like people. I guess people might assume it's more nefarious in a lot of ways. Like I'm sure even when it comes to TV shows getting canceled, or something like that. the dude who's like at the network isn't going like, how dare you say that we're banning you? He's probably going like, I'm really sorry this is happening, man, but our sponsors are pulling out. We're losing money.
Laughed.
What do we do? And then it's like, sorry, you're out because we're losing money.
McFarland's part of the cult of Biden, anti-Trump, so that's why they haven't knocked Family Guy off TV.
Really low information guy. Like a lot of these people, but I'm not trying to be mean, but like something happened where there was a period where like Seth MacFarlane knew stuff. Like, he has a Family Guy joke where Stewie's running naked through the mall going, I just escaped from Kevin Spacey's basement. And then he made a joke about Harvey Weinstein. So people were always making the joke like, what did Seth MacFarlane know? Because apparently he was supposed to be on a plane.
He doesn't write the show himself.
Right. So it's
Tim, let me tell you how the TV writing room happens.
You walk in and say, my name's on the show, get to work, I'm going to grab lunch.
Hey, can you guys work any harder? The Homer Simpson style.
Yeah. Seth MacFarlane, wasn't he supposed to be on a plane on 9/11? And then he like didn't get on the plane or something?
Yeah, I bought him the ticket, but then it didn't work out the way
but
that I planned.
there's like a conspiracy about like what he actually knows and who he's connected to. But I think there was a period where people like Bill Maher and people like Seth MacFarlane knew stuff. They knew what was going on, and they knew better than a lot of people. And so they were able to make jokes that were topical and funny, and they could make good points. And then at some point, they just totally gave up. And now they just like, it's remarkable how behind the times Bill Maher is, for instance.
I think everyone, it's very hard to be 55 and like crazy on the pulse.
Yep.
So I think that's just the same way that you probably aren't on the same pulse about what the new music is. I think culturally.
The new music. It's this great song by Tim Pool.
It's the one. Yeah, it's true.
It's the newest. It's the best.
So what I like the song, like the video. Very cool.
I think
support my upcoming artist. Tim
I agree.
Pool.
That's right.
I agree, but it is a lot.
14 plays on SoundCloud.
It's not about what the new music is, because there's certainly new music that I would listen to that a 15-year-old wouldn't. It's about, you might not know what Gen Z is doing with TikTok and the songs they like.
Yeah.
But that's just their community. So you have yours. When it comes to news, it's about being factually correct. And I think,
right.
I'll tell you, there's this phenomenon that we see in skateboarding that we've all, like me and like all skateboarders know this. Amateur skateboarders. It doesn't mean what people think it means. It means quite literally you're paid to skate. You just don't have your own signature model. Amateur skateboarders are insanely good, like some of the best skateboarders in the world. Once they sign that pro contract, their skill level drops substantially. You know why? Because they don't got to do it anymore. They're already pro.
Skateboarding.
Well, they don't stop, but it's like if you want to
go, grind like that. Comedy's the exact same way.
Yeah. Once you get the show, you're comfortable. You just chill out.
The truth is, comedy sucks to do. Even in COVID, so when you stop doing it and, lived like 3 months of like not really doing stand up, you're like, oh, this is way better. Yeah. Why would anyone do this?
So, I don't know. It sounds like it would be fun.
Well, you say that, but like the idea of, leaving every night, writing 2 hours, then you do 4 shows a night. And it's the same as anything, right? Like training to be like a professional athlete sucks. If you want to be in the gym 5 hours a day and then doing wind sprints, like you take days off. Like if you're like, oh, you need to take a month off that, you're like, yeah, no, this is better. That sucks to do. It's a very hard life, but you want to be the best. And it's not, to me, it's irrelevant how hard it is.
I hear what you're saying, because you're telling the same jokes like 4 times a day, right?
I was acting in Hollywood a while, but it was like up at 4 a.m. You'd work till 6 p.m. and you got paid so much money, but it was so exhausting.
No. But what I mean is, if you're doing 4 shows a night, you're doing the same set for the most part, right?
Like, well, I have a system. I would write I would write 2 hours in the morning, and then I would do my newest 10 minutes then, and then I would chisel that down for the sex show, and then I would chisel it down and then the end of the show, I'd have maybe a new like 20 seconds. Then the next day I'd do the exact same thing, and then
it's repetitive. You're doing the same thing.
Well,
you've got to make it sound fresh. Like you're just saying it.
Depends. Yeah, it's whatever. It doesn't even matter. It's the equivalent of, you could say that like a runner or like a weightlifter is like doing the exact same thing, but you're kind of tweaking it and it's a little different. It depends on how you look at, training.
You know what makes this job easy for me? Even though I do like 4 hours of talking a day, is that I'm saying something different.
Plus, you're sitting at home. You don't have to go to these junky,
that's
smoky,
the worst part of it.
Loud, dark bars in the cold.
Staying at home is actually the worst part of it.
I disagree.
That's the worst. What makes it the same and boring is that it's just literally here all day, every day.
Yeah, right.
What makes it doable is that it's a different story. Something's changed. Something's happening. Here's what I think. Here's what's going on. Makes it really easy to do just, every day.
But when you really want something, I think none of that matters. Like all that matters to me was like, at the end of that week, did I have like a new 2 minutes? Is great. Well, do I have this new joke? Yeah. Like, how does this? That's if that's the most important thing, then who cares about all the other stuff? You've sound like a guy. You've even talked about this before, that when you were younger, you're like, I wanted to be a journalist, and you're willing to.
Oh, I didn't.
Well, remember you said, well, this is what you told, this is what you said, that you like, put your own money in, you sent yourself overseas, you like started doing stories, correct? Am I right?
Not when I was a little kid.
No, when you were a little kid, what did I say? When you're younger.
When I was 26 and started doing this, it wasn't so much about being a journalist, because I had no aspirations for journalism or anything like that. It was about traveling, seeing stuff, and then talking about it, which is basically, it's part journalism.
Well, it sounds like you decided that you were going to do something, and you were.
I decided I was like, dude, it'd be really cool to fly to Spain and see what's going on.
Heck yeah.
People love traveling and seeing stuff.
I mean, I could give the press answer of comedy where you're like, so what is it like? And I'm like, I don't know, dude. I just get up there, have a couple beers, whatever. That definitely sounds cooler.
A story, There
is a thing where I'm always like, why do I do this? Because it is so much easier to be like, I don't know, dude. I just tell some jokes. It sounds so much cooler.
But what's the alternative? Do you just like not work? Sit around and play video games, or what?
What could I do? I mean, make videos, podcast. I mean, be in TV shows. Like, there's a million things you can do. I just mean stand up.
Do that.
Well, I mean, it's what you said.
Yeah.
It's the exact same thing you said. It's like when you're skateboarding, there's a million things you could do in the skateboard community, but like spending 5 hours a day, like perfecting one trick, like, yeah, that is the hard part. The easy part is going and making commercials, doing, endorsement deals, like hanging out, doing interviews, whatever, all that stuff.
So back to the original point as to why we're talking about, being lazy, is that you mentioned these 55-year-old guys have essentially become lazy. Like I could imagine when, man.
Yes, I think so.
How old is Bill Maher? How old is he?
60,
dude, they're plugging in.
Like
they're plugging in words to a formula that they've said before a lot of ways.
Let's see how old this guy is.
Yeah, we got to look it up now.
Bill Maher is 64 years old. He's not even 55. He's 64.
And he has writers. I would imagine he's got a huge writing team.
It was a week.
Kept them relevant.
It was a week after the Covington kids incident, and he was wrong. And I'm like, dude, your show is live. How hard is it to use Google? All of these news outlets and eventually issued these half-assed corrections, and he was still wrong. And I'm like, that is low information laziness.
Yeah.
And that's where people like Seth MacFarlane and Bill Maher are. And Seth MacFarlane, I don't think it's his obligation to be on the pulse because he made a cartoon show about, fart humor. But Bill Maher is literally doing political commentary and comedy. He's a comedian. And it's like he's just gotten so lazy with it that it's like 2 months after something happens, he talks about it. Like woke culture and cancel culture. It's like, I'm glad you're calling out this authoritarianism and this weird PC culture. But dude, you're talking about stuff that's months old. Like you did just realize? Did you not Google anything?
Well, there's an ecosystem, right? And unfortunately how it works is people like you, I guess, would be like a rung under that. And what they do is they look at you guys and it's like, oh, when it works for the rung underneath them. And then there's an ecosystem that goes below, right? But there's you'll watch the same thing with Dave Chappelle or like, people like that. Watch what like the comics that are like the kind of top young people in the clubs are talking about. 2 years later, that'll be in like Chappelle's special. And it's like, there's unfortunately like, eventually you get to have that position and then you can kind of be like, what's going on down there? Oh, okay, I'll do that. I'll talk about that because maybe you're not in the clubs. You're not in the mix. You're talking to the people, right? So it's, that's why someone like Joe Rogan's, he's kind of like older, but he's still super relevant because he's still in it, right?
He's still having guests on. He's still reading all the news.
True.
He's in it.
Maybe the reality is there's some political commentators that are like high profile, been on TV for a long time, that I think probably should have retired a long time ago, and they're phoning it in. They're like, salary's good, the ratings are good, just you write it up, I'll read it, and then I'm going home.
I think Howard Stern still has another 20 seasons in him.
You think so?
I think,
Wow.
how many, does anybody even listen to that guy anymore?
All he does is bring people on. Dude, he's like one of my favorites of all time. But all he does now is bring ex-cast members of SNL on and ask them about their audition for an hour and a half.
Are you serious?
But basically.
So I know that he's like been vocal recently, and I'm like, who does he talk to? Do people actually listen?
Yeah, a lot of people like that. That's the other thing. It's, to be controversial or, it's kind of a young man's game in a lot of ways, right? So when you're 60 years old or 70 years old, do you really want everyone yelling at you and all that stuff? You're like, but again, and then there is something to be said about that when you're at that age, like maybe just step outside and do a David Letterman style. Maybe you don't have to insert yourself, but like to kind of insert yourself and then to take the easy take. It's like someone like Howard Stern, and that's why the Sacha Baron Cohens and Stern, it's like they kind of they take the side of, what mainstream culture is. And it was like, everything that you're saying right now would have made anything that you've done your entire career, not available to do. Like Sacha Baron Cohen kind of went on, all these news outlets, and he was doing like a speech for the ADL, and he goes, we need to stop anti-Semitism and all this stuff. And
Facebook should ban everybody.
Okay, but Sacha Baron Cohen had a song called Throw the Jew Down a Well, right?
Oh, wow.
Satirical, mind you.
Sure.
But if you were to put that on Facebook right now, if Ryan Long, me, a new video that's coming out, one of my Monday videos, and it's Throw the Jew Down a Well, and it's a bunch of people singing that, it would be taken down in 1 second.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, there's this hypocrisy. It's like, well, yeah, those rules don't apply to you now, and they always want to kind of, pull the rug out for people behind them. And I think a lot of people, I just don't think they even see the hypocrisy.
You know that he did get censored on Facebook, though. Sacha Baron Cohen.
For what one?
He had some article about hate speech, and the image he used was a picture of no, it wasn't hate speech. It was fake news. He was like, this disinformation is making people go crazy or whatever, and we got to fix it. And the image he used was someone holding like a QAnon sign, and so Facebook flagged it as false.
Because
and then he was
showing the thing.
But then he tweeted, he was like, Facebook, what are you doing? Why are you censoring me? I'm special.
I'm the
allowed.
good one. I'm on the good
exactly.
Yeah, I'm all right.
Dude, and he's like one of the funniest guys that ever lived. Like I've so
I don't
much,
think so.
Dude.
He
The
lost
early
it, man.
alley. Well,
He's-
I mean, again, like I really do think this kind of like edgy boy comedy stuff is like a young man's game if you really want to. So I think
You
that
can't
Sacha
be a-
Baron Cohen, you can't be in Hollywood
No, dude.
hobnobbing with these people and then also be making crazy
You
stuff.
can't be a PC edgy boy.
It's
Well,
true.
I know. I agree.
So it's like he's trying to be, because these people don't have principles. Sacha Baron Cohen should be the one mocking the authoritarian ivory tower elites. He was supposed to be.
But he's one of them now. So how? He's
Right.
making these movies.
Right.
He's married to. He's in the club. He has to see. And I get it. Like even as a comedian, it's like if I was living in LA and then I go and see all these people and I was doing my podcast, I would be like, you know what, this guy, and I go, I kind of spent an hour talking to that guy yesterday. Like I just feel kind of like, what am I, that guy? It just
go for it.
Now the trick is you have to do what South Park guys did. You have to kind of stay out of it. As soon as you get it, as soon as it's all your friends, now you're just doing what politicians do, where you have to go out and pretend, and then you meet them again and you go, this is all just an act. But it's hard to be real and be truthful when these are your friends. Like imagine you do that. Like could you go and do a full episode about why he's a piece of garbage and then be like, hey buddy, how's it going?
If Ian punted a cat, I'd be like, dude, this guy punted a cat. Get out of my house. What are you doing?
He would rat you out that quick.
Hard on Tim.
Sure would, yeah.
We
That would
argue
work.
on the show quite a bit.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
that's true.
one
We're
thing.
friends, but like, it's fun to argue things when we do. But
Well, I mean, that's why I like comedians a little bit. You'll see comedians a lot of times say, we have like a code. I won't make fun of comedians, and one of the reasons is because you have to see them every day. It's like how do you go make fun of someone and then show up at work and they're there and you've started a whole internet campaign? You'd be like, yo, what the hell, dude?
I agree.
It's a fight. How about like
for me
we're fighting
personally,
now?
I'd be like, I'm going to say whatever I want. You know what I mean? Like if someone does something that's worthy of being made fun of, I'd be like, dude, you're a comedian. I'm a comedian. Grow up.
Yeah, but see,
Like,
the
have
difference
fun.
is that
I
Tim
don't
is
know.
not pulling up the ladder behind him. And what I see a lot of these comedians doing is just reeling up the ladder behind them. They don't care about who comes next. They don't care about who's next
Yeah.
in line. Like, they really, they don't care. Like, I don't understand why not. They should care about the next generation of comedy.
Well, Joe Rogan does.
Yeah, and I
True.
think that you can look at it two ways. You can say these people are kind of evil, or you can say it's like naive, or they just don't even care or see any of it.
Right.
But I think it's probably the latter. It's like, this is just what's around them. They go, hey, if you do this, you're one of the good guys. And then you go, also, it does kind of screw over people, but you don't even see it like that. You kind of, one of the things that kind of drove me nuts is there are some people that were, whether they're comedians or they go, there's this new thing where it's almost like they're trying to extend an olive branch against cancel culture, where they go, we need to make a path for redemption. And I get the message sounds good where you go, there needs to be a path for redemption for people that have, said the wrong things or done the wrong things. And everyone goes, yeah, see, this is how we need to treat people. But on its core, it seems nice. But you go, who made you judge and jury for what are the right opinions? And it's just like a lot of their premises are just included that they have all of the right opinions and takes and, lifestyle things. And you're wrong. And you go, Or option two is maybe we're allowed to have different opinions and I don't need to be put in the corner of the bad guys. And then you allow me to come in. Like that's church language,
Well, now Parler is taken off.
Yeah.
Parler's taken off and conservatives are joining like crazy. And it's really funny when I see these leftists and liberals making fun of it. I'll see them on Facebook all the time. And they'll say like, what do they call it? Mindspace,
That sounds a little German in the
Yeah.
wrong
Yeah, I don't
way.
know about
And it was
that.
like, it's like a very
Mindspace.
ha-ha, mind space. I get it, ha-ha. And they're all like, it's where all the racists are. Someone posted, I would go to Parler, but I think I've had my fill of hearing racists spout the N-word. And I'm like, you actually can't say that on Parler. Parler's got broadcast restrictions. They say it's like if you can't say it on TV, you can't say it on Parler. So it's actually fairly strict. That people are just hoping that they're not going to be biased against them. So like on Twitter, you get banned for saying learn to code. You can say learn to code on Parler. On Twitter, you can actually say some fairly offensive things and not get banned that you can't say on Parler. But people, it's just different rules.
Yeah, and partisan rules. I mean, this is the problem in general with, entertainment and all sorts of things, is that, the free speech becomes like a right-wing thing. So there's these left-wing, networks and stuff like that. So the right-wing networks go, oh, we'll be like the free speech network. But it's like, no, you're not. Parler is like a bunch of right-wing creators that were like, it's pretty vocal about their opinions.
Right.
What you need is like like I want to go. When I talk to these TV networks that are, you look at their thing and it's all Trump's the worst, and I'm not really interested in being part of that. But then, you go to these other places and they're like, we agree, you can say whatever you want, but like nothing bad about Jesus and also Trump kind of rule. And you go, okay, what you want is a TV network that says, I don't even know what these guys are doing, but the kids seem to like it. Like that's what you want. You want them to not be involved. They go, I don't have a political opinion. This is what and there's a bit of that at these streaming services, but that's what you need a Twitter that is started by someone that says, hey, I also don't have a big Parler account. I'm not trying to like build my profile in conjunction with this new platform.
It's, the challenge is what happens when your your ISP or your server company or server hosting company or your hosting company or whatever comes to you and says, look, dude, we got nothing against you. We think it's really great you're doing the site, but you've got these people posting this stuff and it's bad for our business.
They're posting pro-Hillary stuff and it's really bad for our Parler
And
crowd.
what happens? What happens
for our
when
Patriot Pill sponsorship?
It's people think it's more nefarious, like the woke, lawyers show up from, Google and they're like, you better take that down or we're going to ban you. No, what happens? You get a phone call like, dude, they're attacking us. They're threatening us. They're going after my family. Can you just take these guys down? It's not a big deal. It's one guy and then they're going to stop harassing me. And they go, okay, dude, I'm sorry. I'll take it down. It's more insidious.
It gets in your head. It's like a little, it's the same thing where if you tell someone that the comedy festivals don't like when you work dirty, it's like every time you have a swear word, you go, did I really need that? Like it just starts to infect your head. If you have I always say like when people are, young and trying to like build their life, if you have like a girlfriend that's kind of needy, it might not affect you one thing, but she's like, oh, you're going to do that? Oh, you're going to go do another set. But after 2 years, it just changes like your brain chemistry where you start being like, I can't, you're unable to, it makes you more fearful and it makes you less, brave and all that sort of stuff happens. So these things have the same thing. You go, I know if I have people yelling the N-word on my platform, my advertising dollars are going to go from $1 million ads to, $100,000 ads.
Right.
So why don't I try to get rid of that? It's like, well, because you're based on that. And now you're just they all go that same route.
The solution is an upper level and a lower level where when you log in, your default on the moderated space. If someone posts a racial slur, they get knocked down to the basement.
Oh, yeah.
So here's the way it works, though. If you're on the platform, you can turn on, you can activate the filter so you can see all posts no matter what.
Yeah.
If you have the general use filter on, you won't see the people who get banned or shuttered.
The basement is just a bunch of people like with slime and just and that's chains on there. It
should be a decentralized mesh network, so there's no ISP.
The Fediverse.
If there's no ISP, we have to bypass the ISPs, so every device is hosting it, and then you would put the words in that you don't want to see, and then it would filter out all those posts.
Yeah, I think the simple solution is you can block people. So
you can block people.
I guess the bigger problem they say is advertisers don't want to appear next to this stuff, and so I'm like, all right, here's what you do. Hire a guy to stand next to a Coke billboard screaming racial slurs and obscenities and then film it and say, Coke, why are you supporting this? Why are you supporting this, Coke? And they're going to be like, it's a random guy next to our billboard. It's not our fault. Welcome to the internet.
Yeah.
If a random guy is online and your ad appears next to it, it's not your fault. Stop thinking that. I'm not going to blame you because the guy is like a Klan guy standing next to a Coke. Or it's like, what, you got a guy in a Klan outfit or whatever and he's drinking Budweiser. It's like, oh, Budweiser, that's your fault now. No, that's ridiculous.
The 2-tier system sounds good. Or if, someone that just wasn't ideologically driven, because that like really doesn't exist in the social media sphere. I mean, you might say like Zuckerberg's the closest potentially that, you know, he kind of seems to be trying to play both sides, and maybe he outwardly does one thing, but it still has an ideological like employee base that works one way. But this, I mean, a lot of people want the government to get involved, but it's like, you know, they just sort of do the same thing. They pretend, right? Like, you know, Ted Cruz, all of those hearings are just kind of for someone that they yell at. They give, what's the guy's name? The Twitter guy, Jack Dorsey.
Yeah.
They give him his talking to.
Right.
They go.
And then Jack's confused half the time because he's nothing to do with Twitter for the most part. And he's just like, I think we're trying to create.
He barely got out of his bed. That guy didn't even have a microphone. He was like on the toilet taking that like Congress meeting.
And then look, these things are just, it's fake.
It's
They're not going to do anything about it.
They don't do anything about it.
How dare you ban someone?
No, it's the exact same thing as like Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez being like, this percent of people owns this percent of money, and everyone applauses, and then they're like, anyways, the bill went through, but
right. That actually happened.
Yeah, that's all. Like, you know, but she gets her clip, and they helps her Twitter account.
Wasn't it like she railed against it, but then voted for it? Like, something
That's
like that
even better.
Yeah. And then she does her Instagram live, and she gets her millions of followers.
Well, I didn't say I wasn't voting for it.
Politicians are going to become formalities at a certain point, if not they already are, where it's like, I said enough things that you agree with, so now I get to be the person you look at.
Yeah.
I don't actually do anything. We don't pass laws. We waste everyone's time.
Yeah,
and
really, we don't need them anymore. We're at the precipice of not needing them anymore.
Well, I don't know if we need them or we don't. I think that's not the issue. The issue is they're not doing anything now, and everyone's kind of upset about it.
I noticed.
Yeah. So like approval for Congress is lower than like every other branch.
I can't stand looking at them half the time. Like the
just like
it's so annoying.
Yeah.
They just go on and on.
Especially when they look. These are Republicans in this hearing talking to big tech, and I just shut it off. I'm like, dude, how many times do you think I give a flying that you yelled at Mark Zuckerberg? I don't care. Yeah, exactly.
It's for, you know, someone's dad or, you know, grandfather to post it and be like, yeah, letting them have it.
Maybe I'm biased here, but maybe the left loves it when they see AOC do the, you know, the finger snap and
yeah,
the
they
clap
love
back.
the ceremonial thing.
Well, me watching Ted Cruz say for the 5th time the exact same thing, I'm like, dude, shut up.
He's always so
I just
appalled.
don't care anymore.
Yeah.
Look, dude, respect for standing up and trying to do something the first time, but it's like, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on you. Fool me 3, 4, 5. What's going on? What are you doing?
Yeah.
Sorry, man. Have you proposed anything? Have you done anything? These hearings are meaningless. And to be fair, maybe they just don't have the power to do anything.
I don't think they do, and I don't think they want to, you know?
I don't think they want to.
It seems like they're afraid to do the wrong thing, so they don't do anything.
I don't know if there is anything they could really do. I mean, you know, it's very hard.
As long as they don't have both chambers, the Democrats won't agree with the Republicans, nothing's going to happen.
What you can do, get the government involved. Now the government's the one, you know, censoring, make sure the tweets are right. Like,
well, I mean, if
you can do is apply pressure and, you know, let market solutions sort of start to
market solutions
free the software code so that other companies can pop up with the same code. That's
my
only. That's the best thing I can think of.
I don't agree with giving someone's property away to someone else because you don't like what they're doing. I think we can break them up, or breaking up to incentivize more market competition, or regulate them to incentivize more market competition or something.
Keep putting the heat on.
Neither of those would incentivize competition, though.
The problem right now is that whenever a new platform pops up, CNN and these woke leftists attack it with like terroristic campaigns, threatening people and their kids and trying to cancel people, so they panic and they shut it down.
You need like 7,000 new networks at once.
So we actually saw people get banned from, like, Google seized the DNS, the actual domain name of like a certain website who I will not name, but like the big companies just do whatever they want. Banks will shut them down. We had MasterCard apparently reach out to Patreon and say, ban this guy. So yeah, sure. We want alternatives to Facebook and Twitter, but every time someone tries, the left goes after them to defend the establishment. These people are fascists.
It's too easy.
They're defending massive corporations.
I saw an article, and on the topic of the crazy articles, it was by your old employer Vice, and it said that we need a list of the housewives from like the Housewives of reality series that haven't declared Biden the winner yet.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious. I talked about it. And so basically they were like the housewife of Beverly Hills, the housewife of Los Angeles. These are 3 people, and it's just a little interesting that they've been silent. Not that we know they voted for Trump. They just haven't declared. They haven't said congratulations yet.
Sir, do you know who Lindsey Graham is?
Yeah.
Lindsey Graham has encouraged Trump to fight this tooth and nail. He's donated money, my understanding, he donated money to help Trump. And then on the floor of the Senate, he walks up and fist bumps Kamala Harris, pats her on the back, and walks off.
Yeah.
It is fake. These people
Exactly.
hate Trump.
Dave Smith.
He's
posted
not in the
that recently.
club.
I was laughing.
Trump's not in the club. They hate the guy. And Joe Biden's the club. And Kamala Harris is the club. And they've regained control. And now they're dancing behind the scenes, doing a little shuffle dance. Lindsey Graham high fives everybody.
They're having
all
pajama
laughing.
parties.
Yep. The pillow fights. And they're just like, they're spraying champagne everywhere. And then they do these hearings where they pretend they actually care.
We got to get him out of there because I'm starting to feel like the French Revolution was pretty violent and bloody, and I'm feeling like it's headed towards that if we don't get these people out of that position.
First of all, we don't want anything bad to happen.
No, I don't want those people to get hurt, but they're doing nothing and angering people.
The left is showing up to people's houses with mock guillotines. Like, we're getting to that point where the left is losing
We have to fix the system before
I was
it goes
kind of
crazy.
always saying that was one of the best ones with the censorship stuff because, you know, when they go, oh, this person said the wrong thing, and then you'd see, like, I'm like, you've written "hang the landlords" on your, like, wall. I'm a landlord.
Yeah.
Do you want me to die? No, I'm just being hyperbolic. I go, okay.
Oh, that's
well,
a part
now-
of one of the bits you have, right?
No, it's not. I don't do it on stage.
No. Like the skit you did with the guys choosing the basketball
Oh
teams.
yeah, and the skit.
And the guy's
say,
like, I'm a landlord.
I am a landlord. Yeah, but that's what it's from. It's from me. But I've seen that so many times, and you go, okay, so now can you see how they were joking at same thing?
Right.
So you know, everyone needs
A lot of these people don't understand how like making a thing happens. So it's like, I built a house. That house will not stand forever. It needs maintenance.
That's a very good point.
And then they walk up saying, I should be able to live in that house. And it's like, but I'm the one who maintains it, stopping it from falling down. I don't care. You shouldn't be allowed to have it. I should live in it. Then if they do, then it falls apart. Then they're in it and they get to fall in, you know.
A lot. It's all the organizations that are sort of built around that too. They're very good at acquiring influence and all that stuff. You know, my buddy, he like works at like a bank, and they went to a seminar recently for a bank, and all of it was, you know, how to do diversity, how to stop global warming. Nothing about running a bank, right? Zero things about how to run, you know, anything to do with running a bank. And you go, yeah, because these people, a lot of the people that are involved with this stuff, that's why you always find that like, oh, they have all these internal problems. They're not paying people right. They're, you know, because a lot of these places don't actually know how to run companies, but they know how to meddle in your company. They're professionals at that. Like the comedians that don't know how to tell jokes, but they're professionals at meddling in your jokes.
There's actually a really successful commune that has about 100.
Here we go.
No, for real. Yeah, it's got about 100 members at any given time, and they have a limit. They can't have more than that. You apply. Then you come in for like an interview, and if they approve, you get to join for a certain amount of time. And do you know what you do when you join this very successful commune? Do you know what you join? You show up. They say, "Here's your bed. Have a nice day. We'll see you in the morning." The first thing you do is
Pledge allegiance to Lena Dunham.
You get to work. You start farming. You start doing chores from sunup to sundown. Congratulations. Welcome to doing hard labor all day, every day. And it works because they screen people and find people who actually like doing hard work, and they have fun, and they sing songs at night, and they hang out, and then they work together in the day, and they enjoy themselves. They enjoy gardening. They enjoy building. That works. The problem is, and you know why they screen people? Because they don't want pseudo college educated fake socialists who are like, actually, I'm the managerial elite who's going to help you run this effectively. Get out. If you don't do work, get out. We work, and then we share the food. And we have
question
fun.
one? What's your name? Question two. Do you enjoy pushing boulders around?
Yeah, right. Will you mind tilling the field for 3 weeks straight, sun up to sundown, no days off?
A lot of people right now are sort of, because it is hard to get rid of like a culture of everyone has something to say and everyone's meddling with the managers when you start it. But you have to start it like that, you know, not hire the people that are that.
Yeah.
You have to find people from the get-go that kind of like agree with your vision. And I remember when we were, you know, me and Matt at the Hard Times, we were filming, and a lot of times when we'd hire people, we'd kind of look at their Facebook. You'd look at this, and you go, you know, what is this person's priorities? You know, are they into are they posting about cinematography that they did in filming, or are they posting about people that they're mad at and this and that, and maybe a problem with their last boss and this, and you can find out pretty quickly right now if the job, or you know, whether it's their hobby or broadcasting is how important that is on their like hierarchy of beliefs.
I don't have that problem. You know, I don't have that problem at all.
You have good people here.
No, I don't have to worry about screening anybody. You know why? Because the people,
you got them, make them do manual labor if they misbehave.
The woke people,
Lydia's been pushing around some boulders in the back.
The woke people and the people who are scared of the woke people won't work for me anyway. That's it.
Right.
So I actually was trying to hire someone to do lighting, And I have a friend who runs a production company, and they were like, they don't want to do lighting for you. And I laughed, and I was like, good. I don't want them in my house. If like those are the kind of, I'm glad they self-screened themselves. And then I hired an audio guy through this company, and it was fine. He's like, cool, man. Awesome show. Dig it. Have a nice day.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
If somebody's that crazy, I don't want them anywhere near my house. Like that level of craziness. Like we had a leftist, anti-fascist kind of guy in the show, but he was cool with like, yeah, I'll come hang out, no problem. And I'm like, there you go. If you're willing to be normal and chill and you don't mind, then that's the kind of person that I'm interested in having conversation with or working with. If I put out like, I would like a job, not a single crazy woke person's going to apply for it. Perfect. Right. I don't got to worry about it. I wonder though, like I don't think it's illegal to actually say no woke people, right? Like if you're woke need not apply.
But like woke is just the newest form of like a certain class of people that like wants to be a professional hall monitor. So this existed before.
Wait.
It's just they've taken different forms. This is
this is interesting. We have Title VII of the 1964 Civil Rights Act protects people on a bunch of things. It protects people based on religion, right?
Title 94? Sorry.
The 1964 Civil Rights Act?
Yeah, of course.
Religion is one of them?
Yeah, 100%.
That's interesting because, we have a separation of church and state. It's informal for the most part. Mm-hmm. But we don't have a separation of a state and ideology. So these woke people are putting their psychotic beliefs, injecting it into the system and forcing it upon people, and it's getting creepy, but it is very much a religion. But you can discriminate against them, can't you? So like ideology is not a protected class, so I can literally put up a sign saying like woke need not apply.
Well,
put it right on the door.
It would be hard for you to. I think you wouldn't be out. You'd have to find a way to classify that, and once you classified it, I think you'd be in trouble if you said, someone like if you put it on paper. Sure, but if you put it on paper, they'd be like, what does that mean? It's like, they support Black Lives Matter. What does that mean? They support women. Like when you put those things on paper, it's hard to.
But I mean, look, first of all, you could sue a ham sandwich, right? If someone came to me and said they supported Black Lives Matter, I'd be like, cool, that's great. That's wonderful. If they said that they thought discrimination and racism were wrong, I'd be like, that's absolutely fantastic.
Of course.
We agree with you 100%. If they came in and said they were this woke authoritarian intersectionalist or whatever, or they were obviously like a woke SJW type, I'd be like, you need not apply. It's a waste of your time.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is a waste of your time if you want to start telling me how to run the company as opposed to doing your job. It's like, your job is going to be to do this. If you're going to start getting involved in like, if you're going to spend 90% of your time being like, hey, I just was doing a survey of the people you hired, and it's only 40% women and 60% guys. You go, well, that's actually not, like, we didn't hire you to do an audit of our company's employeeship.
Well, first of all, my company is a minority-owned company.
It's true.
And I think I'm the only minority employee.
Which one's that, gay?
What?
No.
Oh, yeah. Ha, 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 ha.
No, he's
technically not.
What did we say before? No gay stuff.
That's right.
No, that's not true.
Tim's gay. Boom! Got him! Woo! Take that, Seth MacFarlane.
I posted on Instagram. I said, what did I say? Like, Timcast is a minority-owned company. Gibbs money, or something like that.
Yeah.
And
That's
like
true.
people were laughing, and they liked it.
I started the hashtag for diversity, hashtag Bollywood2Brown. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I've said this before, but I said that on my show, I hired, like, when I was doing my TV show or in CBC in Canada, I hired all these, a lot of minorities, like Amish Patel and Natisha Kuji, even though there was far more talented white people. But that's the kind of guy that I am.
That's
This guy's got all our numbers with the funniest joke of the night.
Are you super chatting?
What does he
Delorio, yes. So super chat. Ted Delorio says Bill Maher is the Internet Explorer of comedians. I think that oddly does explain Bill Maher.
Strongly utilized in 2003.
Yeah, and then,
redundant.
And then fell into obsolescence.
Yeah.
Bill Maher's got it all figured out, though, for sure.
It's crazy because he's got good points, but it's like the news he's reading is from 2 weeks ago.
He's retired.
Yeah, he's retired.
Comedy and entertainment's one of those careers that you can retire and keep doing it. But they're not doing it. They're just like cashing in on it now. And they're still they can just turn a camera on. They're so famous that you
Write me a
sell
script.
Tickets.
Write me a script. I'll be here to read it for 15 minutes and I'm going home. That's basically what we get. And so a lot of these, like Bill Maher phones it in. And then they book people that are easy gets for him. Like, He doesn't book the best of the best. He doesn't book the people who are really going to challenge him. Like, Bill, you're wrong about this. He books the low-hanging fruit,
which is fine, but it's the wrong field to be phoning it in. It's like he needs to be like, you know what? This is a 80-hour-a-week job to stay on the pulse for. Right now, I should give this to someone else. Do your documentaries once every year.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yep.
It's you know how hard probably it is to do what you do. It's like if you were starting to feel like, you know what, this is a lot. You go, okay, maybe it's time to, I'm the 50-year-old playing basketball still. It's maybe time you can do other things,
Taking time off.
It's not the only job.
Takes your finger off the pulse. Yeah. And then so like, here's how it works. If I take no days off. I've had a few days off for the past few years.
Gary V over here.
Usually, so the only days I've had one actual chosen day off, and this was in the past. Right
is that a Jewish joke?
It was right after the election. No. So I've had like 4 days off, and one was because I lost my voice, and one was because I actually got sick, and I just was like sick. It happens.
All year?
For the past 4 years, I've had like 4 days off.
That's wild.
And the only actual chosen day off was Sunday after they called it for Joe Biden. Because then I was like, it's been a crazy week. The news has been nuts. I'm going to go ride my bike. Just kind of go chill. But here's the thing. Here's what happens. That day off, news happens. I come back, and now I'm a day behind on what the news is. So for someone like Bill Maher,
jeez, I love you going to sleep that night being like, the news never stops.
It doesn't.
It keeps going.
So
I'm falling behind.
I see. You know how often I get emails from people who are like, "Dude, check out this story," and it's something I talked about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Because regular people are not as up, and
you get them before they happen.
So a lot of the time, sometimes I'll do a story as like part of a bigger context that was from like a week or two ago. But for the most part, it's like this thing just happened, and I'll get a news story out with like an hour of the story breaking or something. So you take a day off, you start to fall behind.
Yeah.
You semi-retire and tell your writers to deal with it. Now you got a bunch of, you know what the Peter principle
is? They don't
is?
care the way you care. And they weren't great. I mean, they're just writers. Not to say that those people aren't great, but this writing for your show is probably not the vehicle that they're going to really excel in.
I don't have scripts.
Yeah, I just mean like in general.
So
like
I
yours
couldn't do it. But for someone like Bill Maher, he probably gets his Cliff Notes. And so
we get straight up like scripts.
Oh, yeah. But like later in the show when he's talking to people. Yeah. So you know what the Peter principle is?
Is that like a penis thing?
No. It's that people are...
You sucked it, you bought it?
No, it's... people are hired to the position of their, until they become inefficient, basically. So like someone's really good in the mailroom. So you promote him to like mailroom manager, but they're not good at being a manager. You know what I mean? There's another... I believe it's the Peter principle. There's another one where it says that the founder of the company can only hire people who are less driven and less talented than he is. And so it creates a downward slope effect where a founder is driven and smart and comes up with an idea and starts a company, then hires, his commanders who aren't the same as him. Because look, if you're a founder of a company, you can't hire another founder because they're founding their own company.
Yeah.
So you find the next tier of people, then they, as the commanders, are looking for people who can manage menial tasks and then hire down and hire down and hire down. And then eventually you have a bunch of people who are really bad at who are not very smart, not very capable, and just do menial tasks. And then the founder, when they want to, so you end up with a Bill Maher, and he says, okay, I'm going to phone it in from now on, and tells his, underlings.
But he doesn't have another CEO mentality.
The people who take over to write the scripts are nowhere near the talent and drive that he had when he was at his peak.
Because he hired accordingly.
Yeah, well,
because he was there. Why did he need that?
Why would you choose to like stop doing YouTube and stop being a personality and go and write for Bill Maher?
No, it would take a lot of. I mean, I get like offers like that for directing,
exactly.
Especially, and you're like,
so
it's going to be overvalued for me to do that right now.
Exactly. And so if he can't get someone like you, who you've definitely got your finger on the pulse, your bits are all funny, topical, extremely
I say
timely.
that I know exactly what you're talking about. I say this with editing all the time. It's like with editors, this is why it's so impossible. People go, and it's one thing like maybe something like this, but with real comedy, great comedy, you go the same. For someone to be a great editor, they're probably like usually very funny. They usually have a good on the pulse. They kind of get culture, they get timing and they get like music and all these things. And like that type of person's usually pretty good with people. And why would they ever in a million years want to be an editor?
Right.
So it's very hard to find one.
So Bill Maher needs someone like you if he wants to be relevant. But why? You're
I
going to replace
answer,
him.
I'll tell you the answer, and I've talked about this before, but I think the answer is you need the version of me that's 22. You know what I mean? And the truth is, like, I think there is a benefit for a 22-year-old or a 23-year-old to be that, and I think there's a lot of place for that.
I think a 22-year-old would be better served just making their own channel and starting. Just get
they
started.
might be.
Start pushing that snowball down the hill now. You know, to be fair, I had a discussion with a friend a while ago.
Well, maybe then once you're ready to, not be in charge of the ship, that's when it's time to, move on to a new ship.
I think Bill Maher should be hiring the 22-year-old to host the show. He should find, he should be saying, you should host Real Time. And he would executive produce. He would get a share for, producing or whatever. And if he's going to phone it in and he's not going to be...
I think he still wants to, they get addicted to it. I think he still likes to go around Hollywood and they go, hey, it's Bill Maher.
Yeah, plus, and that's probably another...
they fade quickly. I mean, we all think we're so much more important than you are. But, like, someone like that, Jon Stewart left and he comes back every once in a while. But, like, you don't think about him anymore. You know what I mean? Yeah. Every once in a while he comes back and cries for 9/11 or whatever. I mean, Jon Stewart
He praised Trump.
He what?
He praised Trump.
What did he say?
That Trump was the only one actually helping.
Sexy. Oh, really?
Yeah, helping the 9/11 first responders. And he's like, no one else would do it, and Trump did a really great job.
And the dude was hot.
That's why I respect Jon Stewart, because I
respect Jon Stewart. Jon Stewart was super funny, man. He created a genre of television,
and he dragged journalists because he said Trump will come after them and criticize them. They take it personally, and then respond in kind instead of just doing journalism. They act the way Trump wants them to.
Yeah, they act like Trump, really.
They really do. Yeah, it's true.
He brings him so much.
He's a mirror of all these people.
What if, when this is all over, it's like the SNL stage and Trump comes out, and then all the journalists come out, all the never Trumpers, and they raise their hands and they smile.
Him and Alec Baldwin.
Trump and they're laughing and they hug. And then Trump was like, "It's been a great 4 years. Thanks so much for watching." Yep. And all the journalists, and they're all gone. All their Twitters get deactivated. We never hear from them again. Every single one of them.
Amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, it takes the mask off. It was Barron the whole time.
Oh my gosh.
Trump was Alec Baldwin.
Would you?
It was actually. It wasn't Alec Baldwin. It was one of the fourth Baldwin.
Here's a question I have for Trump supporters. Would you accept Trump leaving the spotlight permanently, never to be seen from again, if he took all of the woke resistance journalists and never Trumpers with him?
Maybe.
And they were all their Twitter accounts just. It's like you could do a really funny movie where it's like someone wakes up. And he looks at Twitter and they're all gone, like every single one of them, and just like what the world would be like with none of them
if it never happened.
No, just one day. It's like, have you seen the movie Yesterday? The guy's riding his bike and then he gets hit by a car or something, and then right when he hits the ground, there's a power outage around the world that erases the Beatles. And
yeah.
And then he wakes up and no one knows the Beatles are. That'd be really funny if that happened, but all of the resistance, never Trump people are just gone.
God.
I would like a movie where you woke up and no one ever heard of Puddle of Mud, and
why?
And you just get to introduce the world
or Nick
to the genius.
What songs did they have anyway? I don't even remember.
I think they just
Blurry.
had one.
They have a song called Blurry. I actually
really
like
good
the song called Blurry. Okay, give me a break.
Yeah. You ever see that video of the guy from Nickelback and he comes out on stage and someone throws a bottle and it hits him in the head?
Oh, Chad.
Yeah,
the bottle didn't live to tell the tale.
I mean, that's messed up, dude. I felt really bad when I saw it. People were laughing, and I'm like, it's funny, but dude, if you don't want to see the guy perform, you don't have to. You can make fun of him, but if the dude wants to play music, I got no beef. And when he walked out, someone threw a bottle at him. Just boo him or leave.
My friend went on tour with Chad Kruger, and he says he's like the man.
He's so cool. Yeah,
he's cool.
Yeah, dude.
He's a nice
super
guy.
Cool.
He beats people up in bars and shit.
What?
Dude, he got in a bar fight.
So he's he's not a good guy?
No, he's a cool guy. This is a positive story.
No, he was beating people up in bars. I'm like, what is he doing?
He's sick. No. No, so what happened? He's a real tough guy in real life. He was a cool, funny guy.
Right.
And then in a bar, some guy was like, F you, Nickelback. And then Chad Kruger was like, say it to my face and punched the guy out.
Snap.
He left me Chad Kruger's the man.
You know what really annoys me is that some protester made a sign that said Rahm Emanuel listens to Nickelback.
Oh, snap.
And this was a protest in Chicago. And and then now every protest you go to, there's 700, Trump listens to Nickelback signs. It's like, wow, you're so original. You made a sign someone else made. It's a funny joke, huh? But that's so much of what we see with these protests, Harry Potter references.
Ugh.
It's read another book. Is that it? You watch the Harry Potter movie? Did you even read the book?
Probably not.
And they'll be like, Trump is Voldemort. Oh. Here we go. That's it.
Giving it to him.
Millennials have read one series They've read 7 books, and it's the Harry Potter books.
Well, it's also kind of like hard when people, you know, they try to like be funny now, because it's the same thing like when you've been the teacher for so long, right? They've been telling everyone, you got to say this, you got to do this. And then they kind of come out and they're like, hey, what are you guys laughing about? Here's a fun joke. And you're like, I don't know if you could get to do that anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's hard when someone's tried to be like the puritanical, like authoritarian for the last 4 years, and they've been mad about everything, and then they come out and they try to be goofy now.
Well,
Why do
nice,
people
yeah.
want to live that way? You know what I mean? Like, dude,
They had to. They had no choice. They were boxed into a corner by their own, you know, cowardice.
it's so weird.
Seriously.
It really is a weird thing. Like when people make jokes about men or, you know, white people or Koreans, I'm like, you know, is it funny? I guess.
Yeah.
They didn't want to step on the twig, man. It's
Yeah.
Jack Murphy was talking. They've been terrorized by their own political party or by their peers into behaving a certain way and not. saying
all that stuff with like, don't judge a book. Like, you know, you shouldn't judge people. A lot of it's so funny because, you know, and I talk about this a bit on stage, but they have this idea that be like, oh, you just because someone's, you know, dressed like a convict doesn't mean they've been in jail. It's like you shouldn't judge. And you go, that's the reason we have a brain, you know, to stereotype and these different things and to use data. Like, and I used to say, if you're walking in an alley and there's like an old lady or like a bunch of thugs like holding guns and you go, you know, don't want to judge. Like, you know, who knows?
A guy running at you at night.
Yeah, you go,
Right. I don't
wanna
obvious.
judge
And you go,
him.
no,
Right,
that's
right.
the purpose
They
of
do
a
that. They
brain.
do
That's the whole point.
That's the purpose.
Yeah.
That's the reason you have a brain, is to kind of like make judgments and stuff like that.
Someone told me a story about this. I used to live in there's an area of Chicago. I'm not going to call it this area. I don't want to drag anybody, but I remember a friend of mine got mugged. We were hanging out late at night out of a bar, and it's a really trendy area, and like 3 guys just walked up and just took his phone, his keys, took everything, his wallet. And then I remember talking to I guess the area.
Are these the ones that De Blasio and Cuomo didn't want to lock up?
This is Chicago. So this is
Close
this is
enough.
Rom. This was a long time ago. This was like 14 years ago or whatever when this went down, or 13. And I remember talking to somebody about the area because now it's getting better. And they said it used to be that if you saw a dude walking towards you, you'd cross the street with no qualms about it because you're like, yo, this guy, I'm not gonna be near him. I might get mugged in this neighborhood. Now he was like, somebody we knew was scared of being racist, so just walked right up to a crowded, like a couple of guys, and then got mugged.
Whoa.
And then he was like, well, I don't want to be racist, you know. And they were like, so you walked up to these guys and then they just robbed you? He was like, yeah.
Wow. That's like following Google Maps into the ocean.
Seriously.
But it's like if you see
really
a couple
is,
of
yeah.
guys and you don't feel comfortable, like you cross the street.
15 years ago, I was in Chicago walking, and I guess I was late to the train, so I turned and I ran across the street, like between the cars. And as I was running full speed across the street, a girl was walking right in front of me, and she just took off.
You
I was
scared
like,
her.
oh,
Oh,
didn't mean to frighten.
sorry.
I didn't know to apologize or what.
He
She
was wrecked,
I just
but-
appeared out of nowhere, and I was
You scared her.
I was ready to go.
That's just one of the things that, you know, if anything, that should be like where the gender comes together. And it's like a lot. I've heard girls say this legitimate to me. They go,
Yeah.
you don't know what it's like as a guy walking alone at night. And you go, guys have been afraid walking alone at
Dude,
night.
guys are mugged
Are you
more.
kidding me?
Give me a
Guys,
break.
guys are more likely to be victims
They
of violent
are,
crime
yeah.
than women.
Yeah.
So it's like, what are you talking about?
Well, my synopsis is because girls don't know, because one, they've told it, and then also like no guy would ever tell them they're scared. So every guy's like, I'm
Right.
not scared. Those thugs are
Yeah.
scared. I'm a
Scared,
weapon.
Yeah.
But it's also the narrative being driven into women's heads that they're victims, and it's like, look at the statistics: men are more likely to be victimized.
How's
Yeah,
that
it just
work
sucks
out?
for everyone, but it's like you don't have to make everything into like the political, identity politics.
Yeah, it is so interesting.
It
what
can be like,
Ian
yeah,
said. Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
You're like, yeah, it sucks walking alone late at night
Yeah,
through a
it really
catwalk.
does. Yeah, let's give
not sweet for anybody.
Right,
I
exactly.
was using an ATM in an alleyway at 2 a.m. and someone mugged me, and it's not my fault.
What?
Let's do super chats.
Okay.
Well, it kind of does, it goes back to that thing where they were like, we need to stop teaching men to like, rape and stuff. And you go,
Yeah.
what school are they teaching that
Right,
again?
I would like to go.
where you go to school and they're like, day one, we're going to teach you about jumping out of the bushes and
Did I-
balaclava selection.
Did I ever tell you about this woman I worked with? We were hanging out one day, and she goes, I'm going to ask you a question. I want you to be for real with me. Like, how many of your guy friends are cool with rape?
What?
And I'm not kidding. And this was like at a woke news. It was at Fusion, the woke company. And I was like, I laughed. I was like, what?
What?
She goes, no, like your guy friends, like how many of them are cool with rape? And I was like, are you joking?
Yeah.
And she was like, no, like how many? And I was like, none? What are you talking? Are you serious?
And then she goes, well, you're no fun.
No. She went, really? None of them? Really? And I was like, yes, none of them. If we were sitting around and one of our friends started bragging or talking about how we want to do it, we'd be like, dude, like, that's
Kick
not
him
cool.
out.
Like, what's wrong with you? Are you serious?
Yeah.
And she was like, really? And I'm like, who told you these things?
Yeah, the dudes like talk about this. Like, now that the girls
Yeah,
are all
it's
gone,
normal.
like,
Yeah.
who'd you get this week? Like,
Yeah, like
Jesus.
who did you like? I heard the story about Brett Kavanaugh. I was so inspired. No. Maybe people and some people live that way, but I'm like, so
I don't think so.
I
but-
went and talked to some of my friends, and I was like, I gotta tell you this, and every single guy I've talked to has had a reaction of like, what? What is wrong with these people? It's like, dude, first of all, it's bad enough if there are guys who go around bragging about this stuff for sure. I've not met them. But for like her to think that way, that's how the world really is. It's like this weird indoctrination from the woke left. It's like guys secretly have parties where they, Brett Kavanaugh would go to a party and drug women and they would line up out the door. That's not happening. That's crazy.
So that
Yeah.
reminds me of the 1 in 4 statistic, where 1 in 4 women who go to college campuses get raped.
Which
Like,
is
why
not
would you
true.
send your daughter there? That's absolute insanity.
Right.
Are you
I mean,
kidding?
yeah, and like, it's the same thing. Like, I know a lot of chicks that have had bad shit happen to them, so it's not. There's not true.
There's no joke, yeah,
Yeah,
but-
but you
Come on,
like
man.
it's like they're not teaching people to rape in
Exactly.
school. And also,
Cool.
there is a part of like, so if this is your friend or this is your daughter or whatever, and you go, okay, like, we need instead of teaching girls to not walk through alleys, we need to teach men to rope. It's like, let's do both. How about do both? Like,
Yep.
definitely don't teach people to rape, but like until we eliminate every bad guy in the world. Also, let's not walk through the alley at 4 a.m. at night, male or female.
Good call.
Probably not the move.
I agree.
Let's grab these super chats.
Oh, you gotta
Friendly
focus up there.
Neighborhood Sawyer says, it's hard not to be black-pilled right now. It looks like America is on course to lose this election. I don't know. We'll see. Michael Malice is very confident, just, because
He is, yeah.
these conversations happen, right? Walker Mack says, suddenly conspiracy theorists don't sound so crazy now. I don't care if I will not be vaccinated. I'll die before they force something into my body. So I have this Google search. It's really funny. The Great Reset. Here's the first story. It says, The Great Reset, building future resilience to global risks. And the next one says, the baseless Great Reset conspiracy theory rises again.
It's a conspiracy.
From the New York Times. How is this a
Where are
thing?
you getting this
How
from,
is-
Tim?
It's top stories. The literal call for the Great Reset, and the New York Times saying it's a conspiracy theory. The New York Times is absolutely fake news, just outright.
Well, where I come from, the Great Reset's when you pull out the cartridge and blow in it.
I have
makes
someone
sense.
sent me a Retron. Is that what it's
They
called?
did it so cool.
Retron?
Is that,
I
I don't
love
know, is
it
that
so
an emulator?
much.
It's an old. It plays Nintendo games, but
Oh,
it's a
cool.
console.
I haven't seen it
Retron,
yet.
I think it's called. All right, let's see what we got here. Daniel Teller says Great Reset equals Great Leap Forward to Electric Boogaloo. Look, guys, my friends, you can't just say Electric Boogaloo, okay? It's Great Leap Forward to American Boogaloo.
There you go.
Okay, because it was in China before,
Yeah.
and now it's here. Camilo says, Ryan, do you take suggestions for skits? If so, how do we get them to you?
Oh, I actually get a shortage of people sending me random sketch suggestions, so that would help to add to the pile.
I'm sure you have a shortage.
Dude, I get so many.
Oh my gosh, so many.
And like, how many of them are just really bad?
I've used, so I've probably got like thousands.
Wow.
And I only respond to people that send message on the Patreon just because it's too
I got
much.
one, dude.
But I have
You-
one that I used that someone sent me an idea.
This is going to be good. Okay.
Okay.
Tim has good
You
ideas.
are Donald Trump. Okay. And you
Cheeto factory.
You're
and then-
trying to eat a bag of Cheetos, but your hands are too small to grab them because they're the puffed
Oh
Cheetos.
my gosh.
And you're like, I can't pick them up with
Amazing.
my tiny hands. It would be so funny. Everybody would be like, that's so original. And,
And it
amazing.
should be happening at the divorce court because Ivanka's filing
There
for
you go.
divorce because my peen
Yep.
was too small.
Yep.
I mean, I got to be honest. That would actually be funny because you're actually making fun of the woke left or the resistance, not actually Donald Trump. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So that actually might work.
Maybe we'll see. Yeah.
Don't actually make it. I'm kidding.
You're running short on
Felipe
ideas.
says, I mean, the bit works now because we're making fun of them. Felipe says, I'd like to get your thoughts on a video. An excerpt from a book. The video is called How to Rule Mankind by Liberty Penn. If you get the chance, please share your thoughts. I think it's what's going on now. Interesting. I'll check it out. Let's see. Jesse Stigler says, from your video today, don't you remember de Blasio on the radio asking to help him redistribute wealth on radio? I don't remember that. Help me tax the wealthy. Help me redistribute wealth. If you go to the Hill and copy, oh wow, that's crazy. Sam Beasley says, right-wing tyranny is exclusive. This is ours and you can't have it. Left-wing tyranny is inclusive. This is for everyone and you can't refuse it. Interesting. Ty Chapman says, check out Trump's latest tweet about Wisconsin. Oh, really?
I gotta Google it. Let me look it up.
How about we look up
Let's do that now.
Trump's tweet and see what just happened?
Dun dun dun.
I accidentally typed in twet, but it doesn't
Close
matter
enough.
because Google
Yeah,
still works.
There you go. Okay, there we go.
Oh, interesting. He says, look at this look at this in Wisconsin. A day after the election, Biden receives a dump of 143,379 votes at 3:42 a.m. when they learned he was losing badly. This is unbelievable.
Click it.
Told you there was an upper decker.
Oh,
Whoa.
Snap. You weren't kidding.
What is this?
Oh, my goodness.
Is the official explanation that they counted all of the ballots immediately at once and then just loaded them all in? I don't know.
Look for the Twitter fact check.
And look, all of this stuff is interesting, and I'd like to see where it ends up. But if they don't, if they can't win in court, they can't win. I don't know. We'll see how things play out. All right, let's see. What do we got here in the super chats? Ray Leonard 13 says there is a reason why CNN has the popular vote indicator on full time next to COVID numbers to help convince people subtly that Trump lost no matter what is happening or will happen. Interesting. James Andrew Lewis says, hey, Tim, longtime listener, loved your latest show with Alex Jones. Insane and hilarious. You mentioned needing a web dev. Let's chat. Yes, definitely. But we're paralyzed from the lockdowns coming in. So I don't know what we can do and when we'll be able to do it. It's almost impossible to run a business these days. Whoa, what's this? Oh, Naylor Hollanda sent what are these, rubles? I can't tell.
Finally.
What?
I don't know. It says R. It's an R and a dollar sign, whatever that is. But retracted. Unfortunately.
Thank you.
Anthony Summer says, Tim, these news networks obviously have zero credibility. I don't know if they will run out of content necessarily. It is possible they will make up unhinged fear-mongering articles and other content to support their ideologies.
Possible.
And then there's this one, Bill Maher is the internet explorer of comedians. Very good. Good sir.
Very true.
Politically Defiant says, Hollywood, sports, and other high-end celebrities that are worth hundreds of millions of dollars scream that more taxes are needed, won't pay it themselves, and don't start their own businesses to hire fellow Americans who help them become wealthy celebs. That is correct. American Honesty says, Ohio recently implemented a 21-day curfew from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. Our governor is ridiculous. People are rebelling, and I'm going shopping after 10 p.m. from now on. Crazy. Wow, man. JJ says, is it possible that Trump firing these government officials and appointing his people was prep if he loses as a way of keeping a foot in the door by having the Durham investigation into Biden so he can't appoint new people? I don't know about all that. You heard about Trump firing, a bunch of these top security people
Recently.
Yeah, there's going to be a coup because he just had the acting Secretary of Defense, who was just appointed, say special operations will now report directly to him, which is so all these leftists are like, this is literally what happens before a military coup. Trump's not going to leave. Oh, what do we do? I don't think the U.S. works that way, so I don't know what they think is going to happen. Trump's just going to declare himself. They're going to be like, okay, sir, right this way out the door. Yeah.
Yeah, they're making crazy predictions for what he's going to do.
It's exciting.
What is this? Eric Olson says, check out Nickelback's cover of The Devil Went Down to Georgia.
Oh, for Pete's sake.
I've never actually been interested in listening to a Nickelback song, but I'm actually interested in hearing that. Yeah.
That is interesting.
Waffle Sensei says, quote, that's like following Google Maps into the ocean. Ian, that was great.
Yeah, right? Agreed.
Walking into someone because you don't want to be racist.
So funny.
Let's see. Joshua Brogue says, is the left in favor of censorship because they can't step on the twig if twigs are banned? I want to stop on twigs like Cheeto bags. No, I don't think that makes sense. I think a lot of people on the left are in a circular firing squad, like a Mexican standoff, where it's like they're all pointing guns at each other and shaking and like, oh, what do I do? I can't stop. I have to be part of this. Data Delta says, I'm a CS student in Wisconsin and made a web app called datatrackerapp.com. Tracks COVID-19 death counts across all the states and U.S., does breakdown of age ranges and comorbidities as well.
Oh, cool.
Wow, interesting.
Very cool.
Elle says, Ryan, I just want you to know that you are genuinely funny. I'm sitting here listening while I work and I keep bursting out laughing.
Very true.
Tim, Lydia, Ian, love your guys' work. Main source of news.
Thank you.
Well, when we have Ryan Long on, you are getting only the most serious and important news.
That's news.
All the hot topics.
That's
Oh,
right.
yeah.
That's true.
Well, I was literally, when you just said the school shut down, I was literally like, well, who am I going to sell my weed to?
Oh, yeah.
Gosh.
They never stop with me, guys.
I know, right?
Are you talking about the grade school children?
Oh my
Didn't New
gosh.
York legalize weed?
I was New Jersey just legalized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Recreational or medicinal? Recreational, right?
So I don't know if I think they decriminalized it,
Right.
but that was a big celebration. But all that stuff takes a while.
Oh yeah.
True.
Yeah, they did that in Canada where they like decriminalized everything, and it took forever. And in the meantime, it actually made things worse for people that were like in the weed industry.
It did. That makes sense.
Nick Bobby says, "What's this about OANN's story of military seizing a server showing Trump winning 410 electoral votes? That map showing Trump winning 410 has California red." I'm not sure. I believe that's a real thing.
Nope.
Because California is like 65%
be
registered
red.
Democrat and like 28% registered Republican or some tiny number.
Never be red.
So it was red in like 1992 or something, like I think it was like the last time it was like 92 or something like that, or 88. I'm not sure. But I don't believe that's real. Here's the bigger issue though. Right-wing media sources are saying the military seized this server in Germany. It was a Spanish server. And then AP is saying that's fake news. It never happened. So people are just going to choose what they believe, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's all that
I
matters.
thought a lot of it too with the debunking. They like just debunk a different thing. Like someone will be, I think there's that Fleckus dude. They were like, here's 10,000 names that were wrong or whatever. And then you saw the people being like, here's debunking. And they're like, well, there's 15,000 on your debunked list. So you can't even like trust the debunking. You don't know what's going on anywhere.
Oh my gosh. No one knows anymore.
Yeah. It's very difficult.
It's not helping.
And like Fox basically is like gone full Trump's, against Trump, except Tucker Carlson's like sticking to it.
Weird.
That's
We have quite
can't
possibly
cock the duck.
Yeah,
He's sticking with it.
seriously.
we have quite possibly the best super chat ever.
Okay.
Nice.
I'm somewhat being facetious. Hink Hall says the imagery of Trump disappearing, taking all the woke with him, reminds me of Goku instant transmitting Cell before he exploded. Do you know that reference?
No.
No.
But
Yeah.
that was
But
what I said in my video.
It's Dragon Ball Z.
I
man.
know I said that. I knew it was Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
That's what I said in my video. Like trying to be a grown white man saying that you like Dragon Ball Z.
Yep.
Because I used to be a black man before.
Struggle. Yeah, right.
Now, Furious says, is it fair to say there's officially more evidence of impropriety in our election than evidence that Kavanaugh committed those accusations, things that he was accused of? Yeah, of course.
Accused of drinking a couple beers. is
That's
what I
right.
said.
He likes beer.
They pulled up his high school calendar and we're like, what's this? It says beer on it.
What the heck?
It's like, I don't
Are you
know. That
kidding?
was 35 years ago. I was a teenager, dude. Like, what is this? Well, we got to find something. So remember the guy from NASCAR? I think it was NASCAR whose dad said the N-word in the 80s. So
He did. I remember that.
His sponsors dropped him.
Insanity.
Yeah,
I didn't
I
say
did remember
anything, dude.
I would love.
Well, your
right-
dad said it on the radio.
That'd be good right now if they had like if TMZ, if you're listening, if you could get an undercover photo of like Kavanaugh like playing flip cup, and they just catch him. They just catch Kavanaugh mid flipping a cup and looks at the camera just.
Chris Dumas says, what do you think about the election going to districts rather than states like Nebraska? I'm pretty sure if we voted by district, a Democrat would never win again. Because
I'm not smart enough to comment on that.
I'm pretty sure there's more Republican districts than Democrat districts. That's a fact. Like the Democrat districts are like New York, LA, or the counties or whatever. So if we did it by district, it would be all Republican, basically.
But you would give the districts like more representative votes because they're bigger?
In Nebraska and Maine, they split their electoral votes by district. So like the urban center in Nebraska gets like 3 electoral votes, and then the rural area gets 1 electoral vote or something like that. So if we did it for every state, then it wouldn't be winner take all. It would probably be Republicans winning every
You'd have to
single
break it down to like decimals and stuff, just purely by their population if you're going to do that.
I mean, a popular vote?
No,
National.
you'd have like 3 in Los Angeles County, 0.2 in like the smaller ones that have 1/60th of the population and stuff like that.
I don't know.
Andy Mazeka says, Harumph I say, I will not impugn the honor of Ryan Long. JK, thanks for recommending the book Trust Me, I'm Lying by Ryan Holiday. Do you have any other book recommendations?
Ryan?
I just read Art of the Deal over and over again, but I go back
Riveting.
and forth. One
Riveting.
page of Art of the Deal and 1 page of 48 Laws of Power.
They should turn
Perfect.
Art of the Deal into a 3-movie,
They should.
Like a movie
Oh, I
trilogy.
know. They just made Fast and Furious 7 into a book. So
Did they really?
Oh yeah, it's a 45-page chase scene. So I recommend the.
Describing the vehicles.
I
and like, what's in
recommend
them.
the book Fast and Furious.
Does
7.
anybody have any book recommendations?
Oh,
I like the Ryan Holiday stuff's good. I mean,
Yeah, he's cool.
James
He's
Altucher has a
clever.
new book. Shout out to
Oh, right on.
the
Yeah.
man JD.
Yeah. He was talking about how New York is basically just like a
Yeah,
ghost town.
we talked about that last
Yeah.
time, but
Pablo says you can't fire based on political beliefs, and you probably aren't allowed to ask. So many protected classes. you would say the position is filled if they revealed their woke politics in the future in the interview. No, I think that's only in DC. I think only DC protects political class, political affiliation. For obvious reasons, if you're in DC and it's like you're there because you have to be, and then you walk into a restaurant and you're wearing like, you know, your Trump hat or whatever, and they you can't come in here, it's like the city wouldn't function. You know what I mean?
But I think that's smart, because I think that everyone who should be protected for wearing like a MAGA hat, you should be protected for whatever your political beliefs are.
I'm doing a video where I'm getting people on the streets talking about dudes that got beat up for wearing Trump hats and getting them to admit that they were asking for it from what they were wearing.
Snap. Oh my gosh.
Asking for it.
Ryan.
Let's see. JW says sworn affidavit filed today in GA State that they witnessed thousands of ballots being counted, all with machine printed bubbles being filled out for Biden. Yeah, the Dominion voting machines can actually can change ballots, and I mean, it does make sense to a certain degree, but like, shouldn't we just vote paper ballots and just like have them physically? So the way Canada does it is that they count the paper with people watching them do it from like different parties, and then they all agree on what the number is, and that's the only number ever, and then they report that number all together, all staring at each other like it was 17,326.
Really?
Well, then there's no way that's the safest way to do it.
Interesting.
Because you can't lie because I'm standing next to you, and then the number gets transmitted to to the guy who adds the number, and you have all this scrutiny. Right now, the problem is they watch the vote, put it in the machine. The machine does who knows what, and then the machine transmits it to who knows where, or they put it on the tape, they put it in the machine and walk away. If you actually have people scrutinizing it, and you have the paper ballots, someone could be like, "That's not true. It wasn't that number." Count it again. You're being challenged by other political interests.
Takes too long though.
Yeah,
no, that's not true. That's
paper ballot counting, and then a recount, and then if the paper gets wet or burned, they're gone forever.
Have you ever counted money?
Do you know how counting works? It's all decentralized. So if 100 people in one district come in and they count, they go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 100. Then they report that by county. So there are some counties where it takes a little bit longer, but they can count it super quick. It's not like one guy or like 10 people are counting 5 million ballots. They're counting like maybe a few thousand. And then in most counties where you have smaller populations, it's not even the entirety of the city. You might have 30,000 people in one city, but it's like,
I don't want animals counting my ballot. I want a machine tallying.
Machines that are made by animals. So they're less reliable.
Like a blockchain. I don't want
less reliable.
I don't want a proprietary computer doing it. No, it's more reliable than a monkey carrying a piece of paper.
So what happens if I just go in and change and add a bunch of fake votes?
It would show on the chain.
They would see on the chain that in Herman District or whatever there was 7,000 votes for Biden. You'd be like, I guess that's real. I can't challenge it.
And then it would say, and 370 of them were changed on Tuesday.
No, it wouldn't, because
that would show it on the chain.
Grandma, Sherry doesn't know that she voted or didn't vote, because you just took her information out of her mailbox and then voted. Now it's on the blockchain.
It's up to Sherry to check her vote.
So that means I can steal Sherry, who's not interested.
And you can do that today too.
Exactly.
But I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm just saying it's better.
Here's the best part. They go and audit the hard paper ballot and say, hey, wait a minute. And they can challenge them.
Dude, the ballots are on memory cards right now.
That's why it should be on paper.
But what if the paper gets wet? What if someone takes them?
Security, it's better to be secure than insecure.
What if someone takes and steals them? They're gone forever.
And what if someone steals the
there's
memory
no
card?
record.
Like the 3 counties already that didn't
Then
upload.
It's gone forever. But if it's on the blockchain, people can't steal it.
So when people forge ballots, then it's on the blockchain forever too.
I guess so, but it's up to you to check your own ballot.
The big problem right now is 2 things. There's an audit saying that a bunch of Republican absentee ballots never got received. And there's challenges that a bunch of people had voted in states they don't live in anymore, which some people suspect now was someone filling out ballots on their behalf to get extra votes.
Definitely check your name. If you lived in another state in the last year, you should check to make sure you didn't get voted for in that state.
That's why.
That's up on you, though.
In Canada, they're like bragging on Twitter that they use paper ballots only with scrutineers who are watching. And then they all count the ballots together, and it never gets entered into a machine, and the numbers are all confirmed by multiple people. And it's funny because you have all these leftists saying Canada is the way to do it, and Canada's like, oh, actually, we have voter ID laws, and we're way more secure than you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. All right, let's see what we got. DS says Trump is the new punk rock. Flowification says, if the Patriot was in 2020, the left smacks gavel. Our first order of business, the right. And our last, if we vote a Biden, distressed partisan noises. Wasn't the vote for the levy, wasn't the guy they wanted to go to war? They wanted to levy war.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's the other way around. The left would be like, and our last if we vote for Biden.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony, or I guess it's the point, like their last order of business, they all die. I see. Yeah. Anthony Pica says, listening to one of your previous IRLs, start the Beanie Club and steal Louder with Clatter business model. Partner with Blaze, have people sign up.
Indeed.
Then get an authentic Tim beanie. Would love to wear one while I drink out of my LWC mug.
How
you know
dare you.
why I'm never gonna join any one of these networks ever.
Why?
Why would you?
Right
Why,
now, Timcast IRL is ranked like number 106 on iTunes for like top podcasts.
That's right, baby.
And the Tim Pool Daily Show is number 34, I think.
46.
No, it's up. It's
Oh,
34.
really? Okay,
yeah, and it's
cool.
completely independent. I have no boss. I have no companies. I don't even really have any sponsors. I have no sponsor contracts or anything like that. I literally just do what I want to do and when I want to do it. And then all these, like I tell you, man, these companies will be like, we want to sign you. Here's your deliverables. Here's what you have to do. I'm like, I don't want to do that. That's work.
It really does mess with your flow, like what you're doing. I've had so many people where I've, taken a little thing and you have to really set it up where you go, listen, this is my system. It's a really take it or leave it. Because they'll push it and then they'll go, okay, well, what about if you do this? Like, it's no big deal. Could we just make one revision? Like, oh, we'll just make one cut. And all those things just add to your like perfect workflow that you've created.
Right.
And it just stops what you're able to do.
More and more work. And then you have to wonder, why is they want to sign you in the first place?
Slows you down.
Because they think they're going to make more money off of you. And so I'm like, listen, dude, if I've done this on my own for a long time and I have a top podcast, I don't need anything from you. You can't offer me anything.
Well, the question is, that's what it is. Can they add value? I mean, I met with like 1,000 like YouTube agencies, and they would talk for half an hour, and I would finish and be like, can you explain to me in one sentence what you do? I'm like, what are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
They're like, synergy, and we can,
Don't synergy me.
Yeah, we'll be like the algorithms, and we're able to do this and monetize this, and I'm like, so what? What do you do? What are you talking about?
I have had recently a meeting with a YouTube agency that said, here's what I want to do for you. And I said, no. And then they were like, what if we do this? I said, you're still not doing anything for me. And then I said, here's what we're going to do. You get nothing of mine, but
There you go.
whatever
Good
you
deal.
make, you get a percentage of. And they said, deal. And I was like, all right, well, there we go.
Right.
Yeah.
So now we're working out the deals, the details. It's basically because I have no Facebook presence. I don't do anything with Facebook at all. And I've got 4 hours of content, and they're like, why aren't you uploading this? And I was like, because I don't know. And they're like, okay, we'll take care of that for you.
Well,
there we go.
See, you know what's funny? I literally just had the exact same thing, and Facebook's the only one because they are monetizing it, but you kind of are like, I don't know what's going on over there. It's very hard to grow. But a lot of these people,
true.
They've figured it out because of the cross posting, right? So
it's not just that. It's that.
I'll tell you the scam.
Facebook is, look, on YouTube, I can put up a 20-minute video, and people will watch it and listen to it. On Facebook, what works is like a 2-minute video. So that means
No, it has to be of more than 3 to monetize.
Yeah, well, like a 3-minute video. I just mean like it's much shorter.
Yeah.
It's not it's like a bit.
They would love it to be like that, but it's not.
Right,
Well, so what works then is if I do 20 minutes, they're like 7 segments, and I'm like, I'm not going to render 7 different segments.
that sounds
I'm not going to
horrible.
put.
You're like,
I'm not
you
going to put
can,
the
though.
graphics on
Yeah.
it. They'll do it because
Yeah.
they know they can make bank off that.
Exactly.
And I'm like, well, there you go. I'm not going to hire a team to like deal with this.
No, I can't.
So-
I'm sorry, guys. I can't do it.
So yeah, man.
That's with the auditions. Like Louis had a story like this, but it does happen where someone's like, "Hey, we want you to be in this thing." The director wants you to do the read, and you go, oh, "Okay, yeah," and then you don't do
much,
it, and then they
yeah.
go, "Oh, they extended," and you go, and then eventually they call you, and they're like, "All right, they just want you to do it. You don't have to do any of that stuff anymore."
Yes, perfect.
I am Darwin's God says, Tim, GIF stands for graphics interchange format. That means a G like a gift, not a G like giraffe.
That's right.
Except
That's
the
right,
guy
Tim.
who invented it
No, I don't care.
said
No.
that it is a soft J on purpose to mean that it was like in a GIF. It was in a fast. The guy who invented it named it something. End of story.
Nah.
It's like, it's weird to me that there are people who are deciding I have authority over what someone did. Like it's like, it's too much to me. Like the SJW is trying to change language because they think it sounds better. If you invent something and call it something, someone else coming up and be like, actually, I'm going to rename it. I'm like,
wait,
that's so dumb.
he invented the graphic interface format?
The guy who invented the graphical interchange format said it's pronounced GIF.
If someone creates something and then calls it the wrong thing, you don't have to keep calling it the wrong thing. Yeah, what if someone builds like a new shovel and they're like, this is my giraffe? And you're like, that's not a giraffe, that's a shovel. It's a type of shovel. He's like, yeah, but I'm going to call it a giraffe. Well, then he's an idiot. It's a shovel.
No. If you create a shovel and you call it a giraffe, That's your prerogative to call.
And it's also
your
not a giraffe. It's a
First
shovel.
of all, he didn't invent the shovel if it's just a shovel. If he makes a special proprietary shovel called giraffe, then
a giraffe shovel,
like the slap chop.
or like
Yeah.
We just named
Super
it.
cool.
Or flex tape or whatever. Is that what it's called? Flex tape?
Yeah.
Flex tape. No, it's not flex tape. It's not even adhesive. It's a plastic, adherent structure. He's an idiot for naming it flex tape. It's like, dude, if you make something, you name something, fine. I don't care. You know what's really annoying to me right now is that they're trying to change the name of a skateboard trick because the guy it's offensive. It's just like, dude,
heck?
the guy who invented it said it's called a GIF, and people are like, yeah, but it's a hard G. It's like, well, dude.
So when you're saying
what's the skateboard trick?
Right. Exactly.
The mute grab.
Oh, come on.
Tony Hawk said it's got to be
man.
called something else because it's offensive because they were calling a guy mute when they were teenagers 40 years ago.
That's so
the
funny.
guy said
40
he didn't
years
want
ago.
to be. He wanted to. The guy they named it after said, "I would prefer you changed it."
But it doesn't mean anything to anybody.
He's not actually mute.
He was deaf. And so they said he did a trick and they called it, they named it
didn't
after the
talk.
mute guy, they said.
Yeah, he's mute.
And so now it's 40 something years later and they're like, every video game, every piece of media,
Ugh.
every reference ever, gone.
Boo.
Because we don't like it.
Is a soft G G or J?
Ja.
I thought that was the hard G.
That's soft.
I must have that
Yeah.
backwards.
J. Or actually, I think it's ya.
Oh my gosh.
No, it's
Really?
ja.
So it's
The
yif?
Y, soft Y. It's yif.
Now
Oh my
on to
gosh.
something.
No, it's
Anyway.
not yet. Anyway.
No, there's been no shortage of changing words, and you just go like, all right, yeah, whatever.
Whatever.
Eventually, you
I'll
go,
admit,
Don't care.
I
Yeah.
still don't know if it's GIF or GIF.
Yeah.
It's GIF.
I just can't.
It's Yif.
I don't know if
it's-
it's you or you. I can't
Oh my
never.
How
God.
is it?
Yeah,
How
I'm
is
the
it that
same
the
way.
guy who invented it said it, and they're like, "No, I refuse to accept you invented it and named
I
it something."
won't accept it.
I keep thinking of
Magic.
Richard-
Giant magic
Richard
wizards.
Stallman, who made GNU's not Unix. He basically made a Unix thing. He made a software based off of Unix and he called it GNU, GNU, and it stood for GNU's not Unix.
Yeah.
But GNU is the word new. It's an animal. So he called his software GNU,
Uh-huh.
and he mispronounced it just to have fun with people.
So it's
Yeah.
GNU.
And it's never selling. If you were like, it's new software, people would be like, whoa.
If it was phonetic, it'd be GNU.
well, the animal's
It's really
called a
funny
new.
when people are like, is it a Jolden Retriever? I'm like, is it a Giant? Like, dude, the
There's two
GI
different
makes the
approaches.
J
No,
I
sound.
thought the
it's a
Kamala
new.
thing.
Yeah,
GNU
there
is
you go.
pronounced new.
That's neither
And
here
he
nor
wanted
there.
to call his GNU
Anyway.
GNU.
Well,
Steve
remember
was-
with the Kamala stuff, like how many people, there's all these
Kamala.
articles being like, well, I know it's like, they go, it's racist if you
said
say,
Kamala.
I know, because it's very hard for me to say. I could barely say the normal words, right? And that's how you would say that word. But the same way that when I go to my bodega guy underneath me, he goes, Rianne. I've known,
Rianne, yeah,
he's been
yeah,
sitting
yeah.
up, he knows my name's Ryan, but it's
Okay.
like in his whatever language he speaks, that's like
Whatever language, excuse me, sir.
yeah, whatever gibberish
Oh my gosh.
desert language this man speaks.
Gobbledygook.
I don't listen. I don't speak bodega speak.
It's true. That's fair.
The guy's actually just American.
Boat English.
It's an Italian American accent.
yeah.
Rianne, what are you doing?
I don't speak
I don't speak
bodega
your language, sir.
Bodega Stani or
He's
whatever.
got it's just a Midwestern accent.
Yes.
Hey, Rianne, don't you know we got donuts today?
Oh
That's
my
Canadian.
gosh.
That's kind of always Midwestern.
well, I guess it's close to Minnesota.
Oh
so.
yeah. I was saying, 'cause
Don't ya know?
I did that cat calling video, and I was saying the Canadian cat calling is,
my
oh, there she is. Instead of like, yeah, girl, what's up? The Canadians go,
Oh, there she-
oh, there she is.
Yeah, and then they apologize right away.
Yeah, then it's okay, sorry. No, sorry. Oh yeah. But
Apology jokes.
yeah. But there
Everybody, thanks for hanging out. If you haven't already, smash the like button.
Please.
And subscribe. We do the show Monday through Friday live at 8 p.m. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Parler at Timcast. Check out my other YouTube channels, youtube.com/Timcast and youtube.com/TimcastNews. And Ryan, thanks for hanging out.
yes,
You're a president for the boys.
running for the boys, and you can listen to my podcast, The Boys Cast, every Friday. And you want to follow me at youtube.com/RyanLongComedy. A new video out every Monday, street video most Wednesdays, and podcast every Friday.
So your YouTube channel is basically, president for the boys. You're basically a white, cis, heteronormative, patriarchist YouTube channel.
Indeed, yes. That's what it sounds like to me.
You know,
You are a white male.
but I will say that a lot of people think that, I'm maybe like would be racist, sexist, transphobic, when in actuality I'm just sexist.
Okay.
So
Good.
All right, that's
there's a
good.
big misconception. There's a lot. There's lots of
better.
different races of people that are for the boys supporting Ryan Long.
Right on. And Ian's hanging out.
What up, everybody?
Hanging out.
Ian
That's true.
Crossland, you know me. Hey, Ryan.
Still same old Ian.
You know, just
But he's been low-key.
just the guy. I'm surprised Netflix hasn't co-opted you yet.
Seriously.
I've had, well, a lot of stuff's been down because of COVID, but
But I have to imagine they're scared of your comedy.
Right.
no, if they did like a
Feminist
degenerate
mom or whatever. My mom was like a college segment where she's like just like really awful and talking about banging dudes and stuff.
yeah, no, a lot of these people, like kind of reach out. I have like a manager and they kind of like reach out, and a lot of these people like me. So
The SpongeBob thing was funny.
thank you. I'm working on a movie actually. Is probably my big thing. But the truth is, like, there's no comedy right now. So I only moved to America 3 months before all this stuff.
True.
So it's hard for me. There is no like culture and mix for that stuff. But so I'm doing my own thing, and I think I'm gonna potentially do a movie, and that's what I'm figuring out. But
Yeah, people
I'm sure.
don't know this, but
Yeah.
you were originally from Bangkok.
Yeah.
Thailand. Yeah,
That's
you're
true,
born
yeah.
and raised in Thailand.
Yeah, you are what you do. That's what
God.
you're from what you do. That's what they say.
Then moved to America or just
Tim's
recently.
from Bend Over. It's,
Oh my
it's
gosh.
a new place. It's beside Bangkok. And he has his passport and he keeps it with him.
Yeah, but you were saying you're doing a movie.
No, but yeah, I might do that stuff. But right now I'm like super busy. So it's kind of one of those things where as soon as stand-up starts back up like properly, I have another special that I am going to record, and it's yet to be known where that will end
Do you
up.
think they're going to do what they're doing with basketball and put like fake video crowds in?
Oh my!
to,
They
like,
already do it.
No,
No,
you
they're
can't.
just
Hope
they're
not.
putting them in rooms. Like they're playing basketball in like a closed room now.
What they're going to do at the basketball game, disrespect our flag, Ian? Is
Right.
that what you mean?
Take a meal. Yeah, that's what I'm hoping.
Dude, American culture, like everything that we've held like as a pastime is just gone.
It's
Like
true.
basketball is becoming boring because there's no audience and nobody like is into it anymore. Baseball,
Yeah.
same thing. Dude, putting the weird cardboard people in the baseball stadiums is the creepiest
It's like digital.
thing.
It's digital.
No, a lot of them
Cardboard
just
people.
put just
Oh, they
cardboard
put
people
real
and they're like,
cardboard.
That's
Yeah.
racist. I just say Indians, but
Oh my gosh. Okay.
look at this guy. Cis,
This guy.
white, cis, heteronormative patriarchy.
Seriously, it should
yes.
be, man.
Well,
Anyway,
if you do want to go to the White Cis channel, it is. But I'm Canadian, and
so it's okay then because
Yeah,
no.
you're because you have Trudeau, not Trump.
I say
so.
on stage that I'm allowed to do jokes about race. I'm actually mixed race. I'm half Irish, half English.
Oh my
so
God. There you go.
It's all better now. It's all fine. I'm from a faraway land. Listen, me and your parents would get me, immigrants, but these guys don't get immigrants.
I know.
They don't know what it's
Seriously.
like to
All right.
move
I
to this
totally get
country
it.
with
gotta
nothing
be
but
hard.
nothing but a backpack and a strap and a book, Pinocchio
Mm-hmm.
style. One,
Those
just me with a leather strap around my Art of the Deal.
Oh my gosh.
But it guided you. It guided you. It
Yeah.
brought you home.
Exactly, one apple.
You can also follow Sour Patch Lids.
You can follow me. Sour Patch Lids, LYDS.
Hot follow, I recommend it.
Oh, thank
That's
you.
very
Thank you,
good.
Ryan. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So, can we go to bed now?
Tell me.
Is that it? It's
Yeah.
time to go. Hey,
Well,
man.
no, I have a meeting with that half pipe to get my revenge.
That's
I
right,
think
you
is
gotta-
what's going
Is
on.
your skin just like stuck to one of the screws now? Because
Yeah,
you
you gotta go
ripped your
find
skin?
it.
Yeah, there's lots of my.
This guy is like, I'm gonna slide down the 6
Oh,
foot.
it's so
And then he
sad.
like cut himself.
Yeah,
Aw.
That's
well,
your fault.
Once we pull the soap shoes back out,
Oh yeah, it's gonna be crazy. You just run up and you like put your feet there, and then it's like the best trick ever.
I was like, "Where are the
great.
boards?" And he's like, "It's a parkour course, dude."
Come on, man.
Yeah, it's a half pipe, but it's for rollerblades, man.
Yeah, it's a
Anyway, thanks for hanging out, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow at 8 p.m. live. Smash the like button on your way out. Subscribe, notification bell, and we will see you all tomorrow.
Bye, guys.